I don't know if I still know how to drive this thing.
It's been a whole 2 weeks, hey?
No, just 1 week. Kevin's got 2 weeks off. I just got one.
Yeah, he's gonna have no idea what he's doing when he comes back.
No, well, did he before he left? I don't know.
Well, how's it going, Chris? Happy Tuesday.
Yeah, happy Tuesday. What do we got here? We got Japanese Knife 101. I can't even tell if anyone's. You got the good screen. You got the screen where you're in charge of stuff. You got to put up the comments and stuff, I think. Oh, no, I can do that. Okay, I just can't scroll through. I can't see who's watching or nothing. Yeah. So if you're watching, by all means, say hello. Hello. So I know what's going on. It's Tuesday afternoon, so this is Knifewear's weekly Ask Me Anything. Normally, we've got Kevin Kent, who is the founder and owner, CEO, I don't know what he likes to be called these days, of Knifewear. And it's usually him and myself. We've got a loose theme, but the big thing is to just answer your questions. Yeah. Right? We usually talk knives, food, often music. Kevin has a particular joke about Switzerland he likes to tell.
I'll have to hear that sometime. Never heard that one.
Yeah, he texted me yesterday to remind me to tell you the joke.
Oh, good.
And we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah. So, as every other YouTube video you have ever watched in your life, we are going to ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It does help quite a bit. It helps get more eyes on the things that we do. Thank you for the warm welcome, Iggy. Iggy, I was thinking of you the other day because we had a bunch of Moritakas come in to the store. We're starting to get restocked. We're at the Ottawa shop. We're still closed because of the lockdown in Ontario. But they are talking about we might be open in and around the 14th, I think.
Of June. Wow.
Of June, yeah. So every time we talk about it, it gets pushed back. So that's all I'm going to say. Yeah. MRK is saying what? No dislike and unsubscribe. You know what? I'm trying a new thing called not being a jerk. I'm going to try to not be a jerk.
We're trying to seriously up the professionalism while Kevin's away for a while before he tanks it again.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do have don't know if anyone remembers. I do have my swear jar.
Nice.
So I have committed to whatever goes in the jar, I'm going to donate to Operation Come Home. So,
oh, nice. I like that. It looks like there's a serious chunk of change in there already.
Yeah, well, I threw this 50 in so I could...
just to get yourself in the clear for a week or two.
Yeah, to make up for some of my offensive behavior. So we've got some people. We got Michael's watching from Texas. Carmike95 says Nathan needs to start waxing that stash and curl it. Oh, you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody who knows more about curling a mustache than Nathan Garrow.
I've waxed it once or twice, or maybe a few thousand times.
Yeah,
I can give it a go.
Oh, and MRK, maybe this requires a little bit of backstory for anyone new. We have a monthly show that we do because Japanese Knife 101 happens every week. We got Sharpening Night in Canada, happens on Thursday nights. We got Naoto's Nerdy Power Hour, happens on Friday afternoons. They're all pretty kind of fly by the seat of our pants, so on and so forth. But once a month, the second Monday of the month, we've got Sharp Knives Rock, which is our attempt at a real program. And
I like you specify attempt.
Yeah. Well, we had the chopstick challenge, and everyone on Earth, other than me, seems to not have. Like, I'm the one who was wronged in the end, but I've moved past it. But yeah, through a stopwatch error, Kevin had won said challenge. But I think anybody with a set of eyes knows that I, in fact, won. I've since been beaten by James. James sent us a video.
Yeah, and he beats everyone.
Polished me. Yeah. But Kevin won't let it go. And if you've known Kevin for any length of time, it's perfectly par for the course.
Yeah.
Hence, hey Nathan, what do you know about Switzerland?
You know what? They're known for cheese. They don't like to participate in international conflicts, from what I hear.
Yeah. Well, and their flag is a big plus.
Oh my God, Chris! I thought.
So I've done it.
That's why I agreed to fill in for Kevin this week, because I thought I wouldn't have to hear that damn joke.
Well, you know what? Now we've done it. I've told you the joke as I promised Kevin, so he can't fire me for it. Yeah, and we can move on from it.
All right.
So let me give a little bit of I'll do a little bit of housekeeping, and then we're going to get into 10 tips to make you a better home cook. Now, I haven't done any homework, so I'm sure I have lots of tips.
I wrote down 5. I forgot the list upstairs, but I wrote it down. But I got some stuff I'm going to cut. We'll show you some knife skills. Make 1 or 2 or 3 things in my kitchen here. Yeah. We might show off a new line of knives that we're getting. We'll talk more about that later.
Yeah. So, like I said, we've got other shows that run during the week. Oh, Usyk, you just, whatever the answer is, you throw that up there. I'll put your joke up though for now. We don't have Sharpening Night in Canada this week. Instead, Naoto will be interviewing Masashi Yamamoto, who is a fan favorite. I've got one of his knives here.
I'm really excited for this. Matter of fact.
Yeah, Masashi is a really cool guy. He came to visit Ottawa a few years ago. He made quite an impression on our customers and our friends and staff here. He's a great guy. He's a great dude. It's really easy for me to want to sell his things because he's incredible at what he does, and he's a really nice guy. So that'll be interesting because I know
he's super skilled at it, right? Like he just makes some of the best knives, so you feel pretty good sending people home with his knives.
Yeah. We've got June 4th, Naoto with the Power Hour, how to thin a Japanese kitchen knife. Mm-hmm. So you might hear us use a term around here. We call it hot rodding. It's just a cool version of saying that, but it's when you thin the primary bevel. That's a really good skill. Apparently next week on June 8th, we've got the Knifewear quiz show part 2. And it's called Electric Boogaloo. So if I remember, I think Iggy won the last one. Maybe. Oh, nice. I don't remember. It was a tie. It was a tie. There was 2 people.
We'll have to send out a prize. We'll have to send out some stickers or something.
Oh yeah, we threw out hopefully it was enough stickers. I told the warehouse to go bananas.
Good.
And then on June 14th is going to be the 3rd episode of Sharp Knives Rock.
Right.
So a couple things to stick in your calendar.
That's only 2 weeks. Not even 2 weeks away.
Yep. Yeah, it's like the day we're supposed to be open. Fighting Usyk, the joke off is a little sneak peek for you. Is going to be part of Sharp Knives Rock.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about beer and axes and telling dad jokes. Should be a pretty good time.
So
I won't be telling dad jokes because I don't think they're funny, but some people will.
Yeah, well, Kevin will, and so it'll be like we're kind of planning on it being like your classic sort of like if I make him laugh, I get a point.
Yeah.
But I don't really find much of what Kevin has to say funny, so I don't laugh very often.
Does that make me laugh? I think the deck's stacked against him in this one.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll find a way to win. This one. He'll somehow cheat, and I will lose. I'm sure of it.
Speaking of the chopstick challenge, I think we ought to maybe have a viewer leaderboard soon, and we can put our one buddy up there. And and kind of add to it as people submit their videos.
Yeah, no, that'll be fun.
Yeah,
that'll be fun. You know what? It was fun. It was fun. You know, but I was surprised that I did do it faster than Naoto did. But I also practiced a lot during the week. Like I think Naoto
he was
just had
a tad embarrassed when he realized what happened.
Yeah, well, it's fine. I do all kinds of embarrassing things.
Yeah, I mean that's basically our
usually
job
on Tuesday after
on the internet. Naoto gets to look smart on the internet.
Yeah. Oh, MRK says, what's the best thing about Tonga? I don't know what that is.
I don't know what Tonga is either. I think it's...
maybe it's part of the joke.
I thought I had some Tonga in my drawer.
Oh, Tonga. We're on to another flag joke.
Oh God. All right, what are we talking about?
Well, what
today?
are we doing? We're talking about tips to make you a better cook.
Yeah. Well,
so
Chris, you and I were both professionals. You were an actual chef. You ran a restaurant or two, and I just worked in the industry, but I certainly learned a lot about cooking in my time there. So I thought it'd be fun where we could talk kind of about how our professional skills and our professional life led us to become better home cooks and hopefully even enjoy cooking at home now that we don't have to do it for a living.
It took a while, but yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a recovery period. I mean, we joke a lot that Knifewear is like chef rehab, but it's true. It's 100% true.
Well, there's a sticker over. I'm gonna get it.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta wean, you gotta wean an ex-chef back onto having breaks and eating meals regularly and just not being stressed out all the time. It took me a while. It took me a few years to chill out and realize that I could just chill a little bit at work sometimes and not be going 100% of the time.
Yeah, realize you're not allowed to beat your coworkers.
Yeah, you got to be a lot nicer to people.
I like this one quite a bit.
What was the hardest thing for you, Chris, changing from being in a kitchen? What took
it did take me a while. Like I remember, so I've been here. You've worked for Knifewear longer than I have, but when I first started, like I was working here with like Nick and Eric and John were all here. And I remember like the day being done and me saying, I remember like the day being done and just saying like, okay, so the store's closed. What do we do now? And they're like, well, we go home now. And I was like, no. There's too much to do. What do we do now?
Yeah.
That was a big one for me. But now it's funny because now if I try to work a day where I was like, if I try to work those chef hours again, and we have to do it a couple times a year, like around garage sale, around Christmas,
garage sale.
We're working our tails off, but it hurts then. It's no longer the norm. So I'm a little bit, it's
more.
Hard. Yeah. Trevor's asking if we ever just rock some store-bought chicken fingers.
I like that.
I've been
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things, you know what, here's my first tip to make you a better home cook. Tasty doesn't have to mean fancy.
Oh, nice.
Doesn't have to take all damn day. There's some really good products out there that'll cut some steps. You know what I made for dinner yesterday?
What's that?
It was kind of lazy. I made a Greek salad. That was easy. I make that quite often at home.
Yeah.
Because I quite like it. I just marinated some chicken breast. My girlfriend bought some, she did the groceries and she just bought some boneless, skinless chicken, and I wasn't thrilled about it, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's there. And so I just cut it into really thin slices, like almost like a paillard, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Little thin slices. Threw it in a Ziploc bag with some zesty Italian dressing.
Nice.
Just to marinate it. And it was good. I cooked it over some pok in my Conroe grill, and it was good.
That sounds pretty good. I recently read, I don't know if you guys have it in the Ottawa store. We have this book in the Calgary store, and I got it for Christmas. It's David Chang's latest book. It's not a cookbook. It's just kind of like him talking about his
memoir.
Life as a chef. Yeah, it's a memoir, exactly. And he has this beautiful term he calls sandbagging. And it's just when you know the right amount of effort to put into something. You don't want to do it all the time as a chef, but it's important to know when you can sandbag something.
Oh, I used to do that. Go ahead.
I'll stop cutting you. I was just going to say the example he used was one time they got their asparagus order in super late, and one dinner service was starting, and they just got this case of fresh asparagus. And one of the prep cooks was going to go start snapping the ends off and trimming it up and stuff. And the head chef just takes the whole crate and just flips it through the bandsaw and just takes the ends off. It's like, all right, here's your asparagus. Good to go. I love it. You don't do that all the time, but when you don't have the time or when you just want to get it done, it does the trick pretty well.
one thing that I used to do when I had my restaurant was I would just roam around Chinatown.
Right.
And like in the little grocery stores and just find like weird snacks and stuff and just like buy one and eat it. And then if I thought I could use it, I'd buy a bunch more of them.
Right.
And I'd use those for like crunchy little garnishes and stuff. Like,
yeah.
I had this conversation with a guy at the college. There was a place here in town, really great location up on the like kind of overlooking the canal. And they just did like hot dogs and beer and like killer location.
Right.
And they had a young guy running the place, and the chef of the school is friends with the owner, was asked to take a look at the way he was doing things. And one of the big things he said, he's like, why are you making ketchup chips? Like,
right.
Why are you like, you've got to cook, you're paying a cook to slice the potatoes, deep fry them. You're buying this like dehydrated, like freeze-dried tomato powder. If you want ketchup chips, just buy them because you're not going to make them better for less.
Yeah. Totally.
And there are certain things like that's one of the things that I always thought about was why, if you can't make it, but like I got another buddy who opened a diner and he was doing everything from scratch. He was baking bread. He was making his own bacon. He was making ketchup, doing everything. And I told him, I said, well, you do know that your competition is a place where you can get 2 eggs, bacon, toast, and hash browns for $8.
Yeah.
Is your breakfast plate going to be 2.5 times better than that?
Yeah, no kidding.
So it's one of those things where it's like sometimes there are some good products out there and you should just let them take care of it. Like it's almost like the like in Paris, you get this idea of, like you're a great cook at home, but you go to the pastry shop for dessert because the pros will take care of it. And I kind of do the same thing,
Yeah.
We got a couple of comments here, a couple people throwing their own tips in.
Yep.
Ted is saying a thin rubber mat under the cutting board, no more slip and slide. Yeah, you can use the stuff for lining your cupboards or the things off of like not a mason jar, but like the little clamp jars, the little rubber rings.
Yeah, totally.
We used to save those off all the mustard jars for that exact job.
Absolutely.
Ted's also saying a Rikon peeler. We sell some really great ones. The company's called Kuhn. Yeah, same idea. It's a carbon steel blade. They're like $8. They're incredible.
Yeah, that's the Kuhn Rikon. It's a great little peeler. That's what I was just using.
Oh, is that the same thing? Kuhn Rikon.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. Oh, I think he was commenting because I was peeling up a carrot here, and did a great job. It's a hell of a sharp peeler. I got rid of every other peeler in my kitchen when I took that one home.
And then we got Mark is saying that the best book about the industry is Anthony Bourdain's book. So he's talking about Kitchen Confidential. I don't know how accurate it is anymore. He was that was a very particular period. I do know that restaurants have been making an effort to change, but I haven't been doing it for the last 6 years, so I can't really get into it too much. D-Hop, speaking of ketchup, I had a lovely French omelet covered in ketchup yesterday. Made me think of Lordy and Kevin. I don't even know that I would eat a French omelet, to be honest.
No?
Whether or not you put ketchup. I don't like it when eggs are runny. I don't like a half-cooked egg. Not even a little bit.
I like those soft scrambled eggs sometimes, but they still have to be cooked.
Like I'll eat an over easy egg. I got no problem with an egg yolk.
Yeah.
But that kind of like, I made those in school and I made it and then I just never had to do it again and I was okay with that.
Yeah. Totally.
Mark asks, who's your favorite chef? I don't know.
I mean, there's no shortage to choose from.
Yeah. These days I don't really follow chefs so much as, like I follow like some kind of barbecue people. I try to learn from what they're doing.
Have you watched any of the newer episodes of Chef's Table? Because they've had some really cool.
I haven't even watched any of the old ones.
Well, watch the new ones. They're better, in my opinion. But they have some really cool people on there.
that kind of ties in with what we were talking about before, and like that kind of like recovery period. Because like I remember working here, and we had Sarah. Remember Sarah Farmer was working here, and she was still like she's gone back to the kitchens and whatnot, or she does food photography now. And I remember her, like she kept always asking, like, "Oh, did you see this episode of Chef's Table?" And I didn't even have Netflix or anything at the time, so it's I remember I was always very polite, but then Eric kind of came over one day and was like, "Look, there's something that you're not picking up on, and Chris is not a big fan of your hashtag chef life. He doesn't want to talk about it." And it was kind of like, it was true that like I'm over it now, but at that point, like I was food and cooking was not entertainment for me.
No, it's quite literally triggering, because it sends you back. Like you get a kind of PTSD, and especially to the level where you worked in a restaurant for that long, and that was your life, and you had your own money invested in a restaurant. Like that's rough on a person's mental state, and it can take a long time to recover from that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're better now, Chris.
Oh, I'm feeling better. Fighting Usyk is recommending Better Than Bouillon. I don't know that product, but I've heard of it.
It's pretty good.
I'm not against a bit of. I buy if I don't have time to make stock, I buy it from the butcher shop.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Like I like to make a lot of my own shit, but I always have a backup. So like I might make my own ketchup for fun, or because I don't want to use plastic bottles, or I'll same reason I make mayo sometimes, because I don't want to use so much plastic. But I'll still have a bottle of it in the cupboard, because like if I wake up in the morning, I just want to throw together a quick sandwich. I'm not gonna make fucking mayo, and I'm just gonna like take it out of the jar and have that.
Agreed. I buy mayonnaise all the time. I don't have patience to make mayonnaise. I know how to do it.
You've also got 3 kids and a dog, dude. Like I got a little more free time on my hands right now.
That's true. You got nothing to do. You probably get to sleep in every day.
Well, and that's a little bit. Well, that's the thing too. Like that's one of my things for being in the kitchen is there's certain things that I think are really good to just buy because it's just convenient and cheaper. But I think there's also like a lot of fun to be had in trying to make your own version of something, and that can make you a better cook, even if it's not always what you're going to do. It's good to learn that once, and like what goes into making a pickle, or what goes into making your own chicken wings one day, and kind of explore that process, because you can learn some cool techniques from that, and then those can get applied to other things.
I agree.
Yeah.
TJ is wondering what knife you're using.
That's my Denka.
Oh, nice.
That is a 210 Gyuto. But here, check this out. This is, since you mentioned knives.
Yeah, we got a new knife.
New knife.
Yeah, I'll make it big.
Oh, thanks, man.
Whoa, not that one. I didn't want that.
There we go. So these just arrived in the warehouse. I've been playing with this all week, taking photos for social media and just learning about it so I can write about it a little better. This is the brand new Fujimoto line called Fujimoto Karochi Forged. And these are coming to stores next week, so they haven't even landed in the shops yet. I think they're technically available online already because they're in the warehouse. But they just showed up, and this is we're gonna get a full line of these eventually. Right now we have Santoku, Nikiri, and 210 Gyuto. But I'm loving it. It's full white carbon steel, which I've never had in my kitchen before. It's a bit of work, but it's
but in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to be much worse than like your Moritaka.
Not too bad, no. And this guy's unclad, because we wanted a line that was really beautiful and high performance, but also really attainable for cooks or even home, chefs or even home cooks.
Yeah.
So these guys, I don't know the exact price on this guy, but I'm fairly certain it's under $200 for a full carbon.
I think that's what I remember Kevin saying. Yeah.
Yeah. They're a killer deal, but you don't sacrifice on quality. There's no the handle's all wood, which is really nice. This is solid oak, and this is kind of that one-piece mono handle that I've been really enjoying.
Yeah, you're seeing that more and more, eh? Like that seems to be more popular.
That seems to be, it's sort of a trend. You know, we see these trends in the knife world, like those psychedelic handles were getting really popular a little while ago. Some people like those like big goofy Instagram cleavers, but this mono wood I really like. I'm on board with that.
A goofy Instagram cleaver.
You know the ones I'm talking about. I like my big cleavers.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean.
Ultimate survival kitchen wood cutting knife.
Canoe paddle. I know the one. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna do a little lightning round. Get caught up.
Yeah, man.
Chris Mendoza says, "Daddy chill." Don't know what that means, but I feel like I know who Christopher Mendoza is. We've got no burger with an egg on top. I would. No problem with an over easy egg. It's just runny scrambled eggs. I got no time for them.
Yeah.
Fighting Usyk is doing his job, trying to hustle up some likes. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, buddy. Oh,
we've got a cutting board.
I thought I'd have to push to get this knife through that cabbage, but it just kind of went through it like it wasn't there. That's a Santoku.
I was too busy chatting. Didn't even see it. So he's asking, what do I think about the one-hander version of the boards made by Larchwood? Knifewear doesn't carry them. I'm wondering if there's a reason why. Well, John, I've never seen them.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I haven't placed an order with Larchwood in a little while. That's the thing. You know what? I'll tell you what the real reason probably is, John, is that they made a new product and then never told us.
That happens.
That's kind of that would be my guess. But I'm looking at their website right now.
That's why we rely on our customers sometimes to tell us about the new products that our suppliers have come out with.
Definitely. I'm on it right now.
No shade to them. They've got a lot on their hands.
Oh, well, they're running a business too, right?
Yeah.
You know what? There is no reason why we shouldn't have them.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. I will send this along to Tiffany. Look at that. Getting it done. Chris Lord and John May. We sell lots of boards that are thinner than Larchwood because sometimes you do want to put it away, take it out. Like my cutting board lives on my counter like Nathan's. Mine isn't as nicely taken care of as Nathan's. Mine's dry right now. I gotta
like I said, I got a little more time on my hands. No kids yet.
Mark says find the show, Mind of a Chef. It's great. I'll maybe one day I'll get around to it. But yeah, I got a lot of that show too. I got a lot of catching. I've been watching the X-Files.
Oh,
I'm on season 6. I'll be done eventually, but
I love X-Files. That's more important.
I'm now into a zone where I watched it as it came out when I was a kid, but I think I dropped off around they're all new now to me.
Right.
Because I moved to Ontario when I went into grade 7.
Yep.
When I went into grade 7, I moved to Ontario and we lived out in the sticks and we didn't have TV. So I didn't get to I didn't see any of that stuff. So I'm getting caught up. So Trevor's got an interesting foodie question.
Yeah.
Somewhat unrelated. Does a Michelin-starred restaurant mean as much to you as chefs as the uneducated public, aka me? So here's the thing. Let me describe what I know of the Michelin stars.
Yeah.
The Michelin Guide is one of the more highly sought after awards that a restaurant wants to get into. They award 1, 2, and 3 stars, and a 3-star restaurant is supposed to be among the best in the world. It is worth a special trip just to go to that restaurant.
Yeah, I think they said that's worth a quest.
Yeah. So, kind of what I remember of the history of the Michelin Guide was that it's Michelin, it's the tire company who puts it out. Yep. And the reason why was because back in the day, they were trying to get people to go driving more so they could sell more tires. Yep. So they put a guide together so people would go out for a drive. Now, these days, it's a pretty high caliber restaurant that's getting on that list, even a 1 star.
Yeah. That's a massive deal.
That's a big deal, yeah. So they also don't review everywhere. There's the reason why there's no Canadian restaurants on the list is not that there's none that are deserving.
Yeah.
But it's that they don't come here.
Yeah.
You know? And they'll probably give you some sort of, bullshit answer like
probably
that there are no restaurants that are deserving. But I worked in Ireland and traveled through London and France. And I've eaten in several restaurants of 1, 2, and 3 stars, and they're all very good, but they're a different type of cooking than what I do.
Yeah.
Like they're all very well. The 1 and 2 stars, they're a little more. It's changed a lot in the last few years too, but 3-star restaurants are all kind of like white glove service sort of things.
Yeah.
Big tasting menus, stuff like that. You can rely on the fact that if you go to one of those restaurants, you'll receive impeccable service. The food is going to be incredible, and it's going to show some serious talent. But it is something that a lot of chefs strive for.
Yeah.
So it does. I guess so. I don't know if I've even answered your question yet, Trevor.
There's also
it means that they're very serious,
right?
And they're very good at what they do.
Like there's also chefs that realize that there's a decent amount of kind of it's very exclusive in a way that cannot be inclusive to a lot of people, and it's a very Eurocentric view, and it's very limiting of kind of who is allowed to be involved. So I think there's some really good critique of it. As much as it has value, I think it's also valuable to not hold it too highly. I don't know.
Yeah. You know what? At the end of the day, if a restaurant has 3 Michelin starred, make sure you're wearing a collared shirt, Trevor, because it's going to be super fancy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mark says that they make where Mark works over at the Congress Center, I think. Make a breakfast poutine with hash browns, poached eggs, cheese, and gravy. Sounds like it would kill me. Colin has. I'm trying not to eat stuff like that right now, Mark, but my willpower is not infinite. Colin, instead of buying chicken pieces, I buy whole chickens each month, butcher them. Yay, Hanasuki, make stock with the carcass, drop the wings in the freezer, and bag freeze the pieces. That's a good habit to get into because you're going to save a bit of money and you get to have a bit of fun too. Then you've always got chicken stock around. We used to do that at Union when I was the chef there. Like we would butcher whole chickens. We would do 120 chickens a week.
No kidding. I definitely prefer to do that. Like if I have the time, I will. Yeah. I'll do my own butchering because then you get stock, and if you're a bit of a cheapskate like me, it helps you save some money.
Yeah, if I'm forced, like if I'm gonna buy chicken, I don't feel like butchering. I just buy chicken thighs if I can, and if I want boneless chicken, I buy boneless chicken thighs. Yeah,
thanks, TJ. These I bought the wrong carrots for grating. These things are too flexible, so it's a bit of an adventure figuring out how to grate them.
Well, there's a tip for making you a better home cook. Buy the right carrots.
There we go. I just, I feel weird buying those giant ones that are like that big around.
Oh, they're the big horse carrots? Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wonder if they taste like anything,
Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, sometimes they just taste like bitter.
Ted is looking. Ted added a 240 SG2 Kato to his wish list. Those knives... So we had a bunch of SG2 stuff from Kato for the garage sale, which is just passed, but there's still a few things kicking around, and those knives are incredibly popular. The number of phone calls that I had about that knife, my hair is out of control.
Yeah, that's a nice knife.
Yeah. Oh, and MRK is saying favorite handle is the one on the Tadafusa Hocho Kopo. It is very comfortable. Very comfortable. It's almost like a hybrid of a Western knife and a Japanese knife. I like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then Admiral Longstash was asking about the new steel type on the Fujimotos. It was white number 2. Yeah, MRK is correct. And Colin is saying after X-Files do Twin Peaks. I did Twin Peaks first, and now I'm on X-Files. We were watching Twin Peaks when we got our dog last year, and that's why she's named Audrey.
Oh, nice. I was wondering. I haven't seen Twin Peaks yet. I know lots about it, but I've never watched it. Is it as good as everybody says it is?
You'd like it because it's weird. Like Twin Peaks is super weird.
Yeah, I like weird surreal shit.
Yeah, then you'll like it. It's exactly it. Mike H is saying, in terms of pricing, Fujimoto Nishiji line is similar. How does it compare to the new line? I haven't tried it yet. Nathan, what would you say? Compare the knife you're using to the Fujimoto.
Thinner and lighter. I mean, that's the first thing I noticed. Was it's so thin and it tapers. Let's see if I can show you. I mean, I haven't used the Nishiji a ton, but I have used the Santoku a fair bit because I got it from my mother-in-law. She loves it. She probably wouldn't love this one because it's a little quicker to rust and it's not clad in stainless. But yeah, definitely thinner and lighter. As much as I love the Fujimoto Nishiji, it does have that plastic collar, and the plastic collar isn't super flush with the rest of the handle. So this one just feels
that does turn some people off of it.
Yeah, which is like, it's not a bad thing. It's just if I'm going to own a knife, I think I want that handle to be really, really seamless, and that's what I like about this one. It's nice. I really like this, and I'll probably end up with a knife from this line. I'm not sure which one.
Mark is saying, to go back to our conversation about Michelin stars, saying one chef in the 70s had killed himself because he was afraid of losing a star when he had 3. That wasn't even that long ago. That was a fella named Bernard Loiseau. And that happened, I believe, when I was in culinary school. So that was like the early 2000s.
Wow. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, 2003. And that was there could have been another one in the 70s by all means, but that was the one that I remember. That was
I think if I was getting to that point with my career that I cared that much about it, I would walk away.
Yeah. You know what? It was, the man obviously suffered from mental illness otherwise.
Yeah.
I read a book about him. There's a book that came out in a couple of years after he had passed away. It was called The Perfectionist.
Yeah.
And it was a very good read. And it was no secret that he had other struggles.
Yeah.
And that was, that was the kind of the thing that pushed him. Michael is asking, does a stainless clad carbon blade discolor and impart a metallic taste on some foods like a full carbon can? I find a lot less.
Yeah, agreed. Because you got so much less carbon contacting the food, right?
Yeah, and I think it has to do, and this is a guess. This is a guess, not a scientist. Because the cladding on a carbon steel knife is generally a much softer carbon steel.
Yeah.
Whereas when you've got the stainless steel carbon steel combination, the carbon steel is generally much harder than what they would put on the outside of a knife.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing that I find though is after you use your stainless or your straight up carbon steel knife, like what Nathan's got there, if you use it quite heavily for a while and a patina settles in, then that kind of leaching, that steel leaching, I guess I'll call it, is much less noticeable in the long run.
Yeah, you can see the difference in the edges between my Denka. I mean, it's not showing up great on camera, but between the Denka and the new Fujimoto, eventually the edge of that Fujimoto is going to get really dark like that Denka. Well, the whole thing will, because the whole thing's carbon steel.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find the patina really stops it from reacting.
And then Admiral Longstash buys chicken legs by a 10-kilo box. Holy shit, that's a lot of chicken legs.
Yep. That's one way to do it.
Trevor says, you hear Gordon Ramsay talk about Michelin stars. He ate at one of his restaurants in the UK. It was insanely good. Well, and that's it, right? But it's also, it's not just about the food in those kinds of places, right? It's about the service. It's about, there's a lot that comes, like, because they don't hand those awards out all willy-nilly,
Yeah.
And here we go. Fighting Usyk, a good tip is to cook with the things you like. With that in mind, what ingredients do we not like?
Yeah, I mean, I would say yes and no. I would say I would definitely cook with things you like, but don't be afraid to push your comfort zone and maybe buy some vegetables that you haven't used before. And, I think if you're looking to grow as a cook, definitely like trying out some weird stuff can be beneficial.
Yeah.
But that said, I don't know. What do you not like, Chris?
I like a lot of stuff. I don't
I'm not the fan of super gamey. Not the biggest fan of super gamey things. That will put me off.
Yeah, I don't really like the really strong. Like, I had a bit of a reputation in Ottawa for cooking weird stuff.
Right.
But I'm not a huge fan of the organs quite so much. Like, out of, I find when the animals get bigger, I don't like it. Like, I don't really like pork or beef liver or kidneys or things like that. Like,
I like good,
rabbit and like chicken and rabbit livers I quite like, but even in just small amounts.
Yeah.
Like, you go to a restaurant and you get like kind of a chicken liver toast and you've got like a mound of like mousse on the toast. That's too much for me.
Yeah.
I would rather it like kind of smeared on like butter, like a piece, like if you're making toast for breakfast. Yeah. So I don't like the really, really strong guts.
Yeah.
What else do I not really like? I'm trying to think of like something like kind of mundane. What's that?
I don't like whole cherry tomatoes. I can't stand.
Oh, really?
It. Yeah.
No, I don't mind.
Not bad, but
you know what? Maeve doesn't like cherry tomato. Doesn't like tomatoes either. Raw tomato. You know what? I don't like. I don't like a lot of condiments. Like, I don't like sweet stuff. Like D Hop was kind of poking at me about the ketchup.
Yeah.
I don't really like ketchup. I put like Frank's on a burger. I don't put ketchup on it.
Really?
I don't dislike it enough that like if you and I were like on a road trip and we like stopped at Wendy's or something, I wouldn't say no ketchup. But I don't. If given the option, I don't put it on myself.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't like. Speaking of sweet stuff, I don't like bread and butter pickles. If they're homemade, maybe, but I can't stand them.
Yeah. Chris Armitage here says he likes all the liver, but he does though.
Of course he does.
I just like a little bit though. Like I would have like if it was like a past canapé kind of thing, like I would take one or two, but I wouldn't sit down and eat them. Like you putting like the way you put butter on a piece of bread, that is too much.
Oh, I love butter. That is something I will always love.
What else do I not like? It's kind of funny. That's a hard question because you don't get a physique like me by being a picky eater.
That's fair. Yeah, I find I'm pretty open to eating most things, but it's gotta like I'm more picky about the quality and the freshness of it. Like if you have a tomato from the grocery store in the winter and it just tastes like water, it's like what's the point?
Yeah, it's really mealy.
Yeah, I'm more particular about that kind of stuff.
I'm trying to think of if there's anything that's like super hyped up that I don't really like.
Janine says we sound like we're 6.
Well, Janine, I'm trying to find stuff I don't like.
Yeah, we were prompted to. You know, it's all Yusuf's fault. He's the one making it sound childish. Yeah. I will eat most things though. There are a few things I won't eat. I don't like tripe. I'm not a fan. But that kind
I've
of
had it a couple of ways I quite like.
Organ meats. I think that's one of those things you got to grow up with to really appreciate.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I'll eat most things.
While you're thinking, this is what I'm making today. I'm going to make a couple of different things, but I figured to test out this knife a little bit, I'd make some curtido, which is a Salvadorian sort of half relish, half ferment. It's sort of like if sauerkraut and coleslaw were combined, but obviously more South American. And I'm going to ferment this for a couple of days. I saw Mark talking about fermenting, and so I'm actually going to salt this and pack it into my little mini fermenting crock and let it hang out for a couple of days.
Oh, I need to buy one of those.
Yeah, this is from Sam, who works in Knifewear Calgary. Some of you might have seen her at the end of the garage sale live stream. She joined us for a little while there, but she's a ceramicist, and I asked her to make me a fermenting crock. She did a great job. It's got a little lid that fits inside, like so.
That's exactly what I want, except I want a big one.
Yeah, I
should ask.
I asked her for a big one, but she said that was a challenge. So start off with a little guy. It's good for like.
I could get like 3 of those though.
But yeah, having one that's like like that big would be sweet.
Yeah, remember there was that there was that store. Remember where we did the Vancouver pop-up? Were you there? Did you go to the Vancouver pop-up at all?
To the original location, yeah, in
like beside the cheese store. You went to
Hastings.
That one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember there was that shop up the road? It's closed now, but it was called Homestead Junction. You remember that?
Yeah.
That was a cool store. It had all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, nice. Yeah,
really
still hard stuff to find, despite how popular, fermenting and all that kind of stuff is getting. It's still, I wouldn't call it mainstream yet.
Yeah. So, Don Penny smoked a thick rib. I saw this on Facebook, actually. He smoked a thick rib steak on his Traeger and then pan-seared it in his West Japan Tools carbon steel pan.
Oh, nice.
It did look good. It looked really good idea. Like, it looked really, really good.
Yeah, I want to see that.
And then Ted says these custom fermenting crocks might be a good idea for the store. Trevor had a question there about what's your favorite food to cook. That's probably easier for us to answer.
Oh man, I get asked this all the time. Like, anytime you meet your in-laws, like new in-laws, or like, I don't know, family or something, and they're like, "Oh, you used to be a chef. What kind of food do you like to cook?" I always have a hard time with that. What do you think, Chris?
Well, I do. If I'm gonna dedicate a day to cooking, it's usually like I'll get the smoker going.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's usually my move. I'll park myself in the backyard and to be perfectly honest, I like either like I would love to. I almost bought the stuff last summer when everything was going crazy, but I know Maeve would have killed me. But I almost bought a pallet of cinder blocks so I could build a whole hog smoking pit in my backyard.
Nice. Yeah.
I was very close. I had it all priced out. I had everything in the cart for Home Depot for delivery. Nice. And then I mentioned it to my dad, and my dad was like, she'll kill you if you do that.
I'll tell you what, Chris, when we're allowed to travel again, I'm going to have a house, and we should do that next summer, because I've always wanted to do that, and I'm planning to build like more of a brick pizza oven anyways, so we can just have a little section for and do a whole pig. Because I've never cooked a whole pig, but I've always wanted to. I've
done whole pigs like in the oven, like suckling pigs and young pigs. I've done whole ones in the oven. I used to do them like when I had the restaurant. That was my thing for like if someone tried to like booked out the restaurant for a wedding. I would be like, well, I only do whole pigs.
Yeah.
And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah. If you want to have your wedding here, that's what you're gonna get.
It's a good way to filter.
And it's kind of funny what you can kind of get away with when you tell people, like,
Yeah.
And I did the whole thing. Like, I would like put the apple in it and everything. I had a lot of fun doing it. I thought it was a lot of fun. But that's what I usually do. I kind of like to do a lot of the reading and research that I've done, and what I've gotten okay at is like more of that kind of Texas style like beef, like brisket or beef ribs or something like that. Just salt and pepper, and then a long time on the smoker, and you kind of serve the sauce on the side. That's sort of what I like to do. Or I do a South Carolina, like I'll do like a pulled pork with pork shoulders. I got a sauce that I make that I really like. That's kind of sweet. It's not sweet. It's more vinegary with a little bit of sweet. But that's what I like.
I like those slightly sweet vinegary sauces, especially if they got like some pepper or cayenne in them.
Yeah, a lot of cayenne and black pepper in this one.
Yeah, I made one of those the other day.
I have to make I usually make a big batch of it at the beginning of the summer. I haven't got around to it yet.
Okay, there's a good tip for home cooks. If you figure out something that you like to use a lot for different applications, make a crap ton of it.
Yeah,
make like a liter of it and keep it in the back of your fridge, and it's worth it.
Well, because it's a lot easier to make 4 liters of barbecue sauce than it is to make 1 liter of barbecue sauce 4 times.
Yeah, it's almost no more work to make a larger batch.
Yeah, it might take you a couple more minutes to like chop your onions, but
that's like tare for yakitori, right? Like I'll basically do that exact recipe you have.
Yeah,
and I'll make a liter or two of it at the beginning of the summer, and then I just use it all summer, and it's about gone by the time I'm done grilling.
Yeah, and if you're going to make more, well, then you just throw the stuff you had before in the pot when you bring it to a simmer. And
yeah, exactly.
It lives forever. There was something there. Yeah, a lot of people are telling me to get an oil heating, like get an oil tank or whatnot. The thing is, there's not many of them around here. I haven't been finding them.
Huh. Interesting.
Oh, Damon says the trouble with 4 liters of barbecue sauce at home is where do you keep that? I just
well,
it just goes in the fridge and there's less room for other stuff.
I'll tell you my solution. I bought a house so I could have a garage and put a second fridge in it because we need a fridge just for our condiments and our like homemade preserves and and fermented stuff.
Did you get that house? Did you everything go through?
Yeah, still got to sign the last contracts and stuff. But yeah, we're
you just got to sign the closing documents.
Yeah.
But it's yours. They accepted your offer.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, then there you go. You're good. Well, congratulations.
So, yeah, that's my solution is just have another fridge. Find space.
Yeah, just buy another house.
Yeah.
Just buy a house to put your fridges in.
Easy, right?
Don Penny says if I want a drum, he can hook me up. I actually might want that, Don, because I wanted a drum anyway so I can make my own charcoal.
Oh.
Like instead of burning logs, I wanted to burn and then like take shovels full of coal.
Right, because that's what you do when you're doing the pig, right? You're not burning the wood directly under the pig.
No, you're just doing the coal. So, and then Fighting Usyk says he's seen smokers built out of a 4-drawer filing cabinet. I've seen those too. They're pretty cool. I saw a video on Instagram or something one day where they had like chicken in one drawer and like ribs in a different drawer. It was kind of funny.
Oh damn, that's fun.
Should mention. What do you got?
A
there?
Good weird ingredient that you can find sometimes. Oh no, that's the wrong stuff. Hold on.
What'd you do? You just threw a handful of something you didn't mean to in your food.
No, luckily I didn't use it yet. I'm glad I decided to show it on camera.
What was it?
There we go. That was edible alkali for ramen noodles, but this is citric acid.
Oh, okay.
It's weird and cool stuff, but I've been using it. Mike in Calgary inspired me to use it on spiced nuts. So I've been making a lot of, make up different kind of flavorings and then season up my own nuts, and it's a lot healthier snack than potato chips. So I've been making that a lot lately.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I buy a lot of mixed nuts and stuff. I should make some. I know how to do those things. I just don't get around to it. What's another good tip? You know what? An easy one, an obvious one is to taste the food you're making and adjust your seasoning several times while you're going. I had a chef in culinary school who said that you had to season something at least 7 times before you'd get it right.
Totally. That was one of the tips I was going to bring today was like, just don't be afraid to fuck up and mess around with seasoning, right? Try using more salt.
You gotta put money in the jar.
Oh, sorry. I'll throw some in the next transfer to Ottawa.
Here, I'll spot you for now. I got a quarter for Nathan.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
I got a pile of change here. I take it all out of my car now before we do.
Oh, nice.
Before we do Japanese Knife 101.
But yeah, don't.
I'm trying. I'm trying.
Right? If a recipe says use a quarter teaspoon of something, and unless it's a really strong ingredient, maybe try using more than a quarter teaspoon.
Yeah, maybe you want more of it. Unless you're baking. If you're like baking, just follow it. Just follow the instructions when you're baking.
Totally. There's a kind of cliche thing where people say cooking's an art and baking's a science, but I found it to be pretty true.
Yeah. Peter has a good little nugget of wisdom. Peter's always good for these. You can always add seasoning, but you can't subtract. So that's why you do it in little bits.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And season as you go too. Like if you're making I don't know. I was talking to a fella earlier today making a bolognese tonight for dinner.
Right.
Like while you're sauteing your onions, throw a bit of salt in. When you add your tomato paste, and then if you're adding wine or whatever, it's like get in the habit of throwing little bits of salt in all the time. I remember one time,
like soup or something, because the last thing you want is salty broth and bland vegetables, right? You want to have the salt incorporated into the ingredients by the time the soup's done.
And be aware of what kind of salt you're using. I remember it was a kind of a hard lesson I had to learn It was one of my first jobs out of culinary school. I was working at a restaurant called Juniper here in Ottawa. It's not around anymore, but I made a bucket of soup, some sort of pureed soup. I was seasoning it, and then all of a sudden, like I was adding little bits, but I was using like a heavy, like a big piece like sea salt, but like in big grains, and it hadn't all dissolved yet. So keep that in mind too.
Oh,
you know. Usyk says, what does Usyk say? I don't salt my stock that I'm going to store, so I can adjust it to whatever. Well, that's the idea behind stock, right? Yeah. When you go to culinary school and they talk about stock, you want to keep it very neutral so you can use it in anything. This was actually a discussion. I remember the two owners of Juniper fighting over this, because they would always, like, Richard was very, like, he would throw ginger in the stock. He would throw all kinds of vegetables in there that no one else thought belonged.
Right.
But his argument was like, well, I'm going to make like a Thai chicken soup after. I want lemongrass and ginger and lime leaf and all that. Yeah. But then, you know, the other chef, his business partner, Norm, was like, but Richard, we use the stock in other things.
Yeah.
Like I don't want the risotto to taste like lemongrass.
No.
So like they were always arguing about what would and wouldn't go into a stock, and eventually Norm won in the end, and Richard was pretty funny about it too. He'd always be like, well, he'd always come to me. It was like I graduated from culinary school like 2 months earlier, and he'd come over to me and he'd be like, Chris, am I allowed to put this in the stock? You went to culinary school. And like he'd always like stick me in the middle of it. Like it'd be like, you know, like on a sitcom with like two, you know, unhappy parents. They'd be like, tell your mother. Yeah, tell your mother. So that was kind of funny. John May's got a pro tip. Comes down to a pro tip. They sell 1.5 buckets of Maldon salt on Amazon for $50.
Oh, nice.
I really like Maldon salt for seasoning meat and whatnot after I've cooked it, because then it doesn't quite dissolve and you get some of that texture. And Peter Brown has said something that I don't think he knows is as controversial as it is.
Oh, what's this?
He says that comes down to the debate between stock and broth.
Oh my God.
And I'll tell you what, there is an actual definition, the difference between stock and broth. And I know this I'm a culinary instructor.
Right.
Do you know what the difference between stock and broth is?
I mean, I had to memorize it once for a test in cooking school, but I haven't ever bothered using it since.
The test has come back.
I don't remember.
A stock is only made from the bones, and a broth incorporates meat as well.
Okay.
So if you were making a beef stock you just had beef bones, you're making a stock. But if you throw in all your trim from you've cleaned up a strip loin and a tenderloin and all that, now you're making a broth. That's the difference.
Yeah. I would say I always make broth then, because there's always a bit of meat and skin left on, because I usually do it from chicken, right?
Yeah. So definitely a broth. Yeah.
Yeah. It just seems to have more flavor, in my opinion. Here's what I do that's different with my stock or broth, as it were, is I don't roast all the bones, because I find you get a really kind of thin, anemic stock if you roast all your bones. But I do like that roasted flavor. So I just roast half the bones, and then you still get a lot of collagen and gelatin and a lot of the good stuff that breaks down when you roast, but you still get that roasting flavor. It's really nice.
I think it depends on the bones too, right?
Sure.
Because chicken bones will because you've said you're mostly doing chicken, but if you're doing bigger animals like pork and beef and whatnot, you wouldn't have that problem.
Totally.
And you could always cook it longer too to get more of that stuff out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Fighting Usyk, an ingredient he never thought to use in stock but does more often is roasted tomato.
Oh.
So when you're making, we'll go back to my culinary schooling right now, is when you're doing a brown stock, So when you've roasted the bones and you roast your mirepoix and all of that, you generally would roast your bones in a big roasting pan, take the bones out, put them in your pot, drain off some of the grease, and then you would throw your vegetables in there. And once they get all nice and roasty, you throw a big globs of tomato paste in there too.
Yeah,
and then the tomato paste gets you cook it until it gets like this dark, almost like kind of chocolate milk sort of color. Like it gets almost like really deep, rusty color. And I don't know why I said chocolate milk. That doesn't make any sense.
You're getting hungry.
Yeah. All I ate was that Greek salad you saw me slamming down earlier.
Oh, yeah. That's okay. I just had 6 pieces of leftover flank steak before this. So
nice. You know what I cooked over the weekend?
What's that?
Alex, I bought some hanger steak.
Oh,
from my favorite butcher shop in town.
Yeah.
And that's what Alex and I had hanger steak for lunch on Saturday.
Nice.
I took this store's Conroe and put it out in the back alleyway, and
that's sweet.
Grilled up some hanger for me and Alibaba.
That sounds great, man. Yeah, I did flank steak with some chimichurri that I made. That was really good. And then I did just chicken wings. I was going to smoke them, but it was too nice outside to smoke out the balcony. So I just grilled them and did some kind of hot honey barbecue sauce that I made.
Yeah.
And then, okay, here's my favorite thing that would probably be considered basic, but is definitely not an overrated thing, is just yam fries with chipotle aioli.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd order that.
So
I order that all the time.
Done to death, but just so delicious.
But who cares, right? You know what else is done to death? A grilled cheese sandwich. And if you tell me you don't like a grilled cheese sandwich, you're a liar.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something wrong with you if you don't like grilled cheese. I've never heard somebody say that.
Yeah. Oh, Admiral Longstash is calling me out here. Not really. He doesn't realize that my Greek salad is very lazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't buy fancy feta. I just buy the regular grocery store stuff. I know that there's better.
Okay, I wouldn't buy fancy feta because it can be expensive, except there's an amazing Greek grocery store 2 blocks from my house, and I'm going to really miss living by them. And they just have the best stuff that's out of a barrel that just arrived from Greece last week.
I you know what? I just kind of because I got the kids too.
Yeah.
So, Admiral Longstash, I put, and now Nathan said he doesn't like these. I always put cherry tomatoes in it.
Yeah.
I bought a variety of peppers. I don't really care what color, not green ones, but whatever.
No, that's different.
We buy the mixed bag of peppers. That's one of the few vegetables I can get one of my kids to eat. I know that there's very little nutritional value, but
in bell peppers,
yeah, it's an uphill battle.
Oh no,
yeah. They're very moderate. They're celery-esque. There's not a lot going on in there.
Yeah.
The cucumber. I always cut my cucumbers lengthwise and scoop the seeds out.
Yeah,
that's a move that I like.
Well, yeah, if you're making Greek salad, you're not going to eat it in the next 30 minutes.
Yeah,
you're going to want to take that excess water out, right?
Yeah. I put red onion in it. I would love to put Kalamata olives in it, but if I do that, only I will eat it. So I usually put the olives on the side when I make it. And then I think I just buy, it's either Longstash, you've really you kind of put me over a barrel here. I buy what's on sale. I either buy the Saputo stuff or I buy the President's Choice, the grocery store.
Yeah, you and me both, dude. If I'm not going to the Greek place, I'm buying it on sale.
But I've never thought to. I bet you there's a Greek. I bet you there's a good, because there's some good Greek restaurants in Ottawa. I bet you there's a good Greek grocer.
Yeah, I mean there's a good Greek community in Calgary, and that's kind of why that exists. So I don't know if Ottawa's the same.
Yeah, Colin Toffelmeyer says that his kids don't like grilled cheese, and I'm mystified by it. You know what, Colin? Here's one for you. You know what my 7-year-old daughter told me yesterday she didn't like was apple pie.
Huh.
And you know what she wanted once everybody else had it? Apple pie. She wanted
there's
it.
a lot
After,
of
like, it's
there's
on
a
the
lot
table.
of mediocre apple pie out there, so maybe she just hadn't had the right one.
Yeah, but see this. So there's this place. I don't know if I know like Dawn is watching. Mark is from Ottawa.
Yeah.
I think Trevor's not far off. But there's this place. It's called the Perth Pie Company. They're in Perth, small town west of here. Now I've been buying their pies from the butcher. Like they keep some of them in the freezer at around the block. The butcher shop I keep talking about.
Yeah.
They're $17 for a pie.
Ooh.
So just like it's not cheap. But Nathan, I don't know I've ever had a better one.
Okay.
Like I've tried a bunch of them. They got like a blueberry pie. They've got a peach and raspberry one sometimes. The apple one. I never just went for just normal apple. But I like pie. I'd take here's a controversial food fact. I would take a pie over a cake every day of the week.
I think I would too. I think in general I like a lot more pies more seriously than I like cakes.
You know what I like? I just like because I like the fruit filling. Yeah, I like that part. I always like. I like cream pies too.
I eat it for the crust. I love pie crust.
Yeah, well, because it's butter and flour, your two favorite things.
Yeah, basically, and a little bit of sugar. Yeah. Apparently, Admiral Longstash has been to Kalamata Grocery in Calgary. That, like, if you live in Calgary and you're watching this, people other than Longstash, go to Kalamata. I
think Longstash lives in Holland.
Really?
I think so.
Well, apparently he knows, or maybe he's talking about Kalamata.
I think he's talking about the olives.
Oh, damn!
He's got to be talking about the olives.
That's fair. Well, if you live in Calgary, Alberta, in Canada, go to Kalamata Grocery. Cheapest smokes in the city, cheapest and highest quality olives in the city, and pretty much cheapest cold cuts in the city too.
Damon says Crenos feta is the way to go.
They have like a wooden barrel in the fridge that they scoop the feta out of.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And then what else? Oh, Colin says his kids won't eat pie either. So here's one. I sometimes I bring this up. So my oldest, like my stepson, my oldest kid is, he's on the spectrum. So like I've had to be very creative in what and how I cook.
Right. Yeah.
So I always like with him, I always try to be really honest about what I'm making. I don't try to pull any fast ones on him.
Yeah, I think that's a better approach.
And like with the 7-year-old, like I don't care. I'll lie right to her face. I'll say like, no, there's no, like one of my moves at home is like I'll make if I make meatballs or meatloaf or something. There are so many vegetables snuck into those meatballs.
Yeah, and they're just.
But like in Fergus, I'll pull him over and I'll be like, okay, dude, like I put mushrooms in there. I put like the green stuff is parsley. There's peppers. There's all this. Like I'll rhyme it through. I'm like, you like all these things. I said, sometimes you don't like mushrooms, but you won't even know they're there.
Yeah.
And like one of the get out of him, which I always find really funny, and it's a huge improvement from where we used to be. Oh, look at that. Like clockwork. My dad is calling me. And he knows that I'm doing this video. There's a chance he's watching it. I'm not answering the phone right now, Dad. Jesus.
Sorry, Dan.
So with Fergus, I always do that. Like I give him like a real run through of what of what's in the food. And all I ask him is like, I just want you to take a bite. Don't throw a fit. And then you don't need to eat anymore. Yep. Like if you don't like it.
Yeah.
Well, then I can quickly make you a ham sandwich.
Totally. I like that.
Now I have had to change the way I behave quite a bit when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Because I was, I lived in a house where you don't leave the table until you're done dinner.
Yeah.
And, like there are stories of me sleeping at the table because I was so stubborn. But I don't do that to him. I'll do it to the other two because they're just being jerks. Yeah. But like a real and this, I don't know, Colin, if you feel the same way because I know everyone's different. But one of the things with Ferg is he'll say, "I don't love it, but I'll eat it."
Hey, that's good.
And to me, that's a hard win because there was a time where he'd spit it on the table.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah, totally.
and it's made you know, taking them to my folks' place and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
it's been a lot of work on his and my sides of it, but
yeah, totally.
you know.
Iggy's saying, for an amazing pie crust, ask your butcher for some pork leaf lard and use that mixed with flour instead of butter. I agree. I personally go half and half because one makes it crispy and one makes it a little more like chewy, and I kind of like the combination. But yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So, okay, here's one of my cooking tips. Actually, I got 2 for 1 here. Number 1,
2 for 1.
Don't be afraid to use up leftovers and get creative with them, because nothing sucks more than wasting food, and like the food system wastes enough as it is. But you can make some really great stuff with leftovers. Like I had an old ciabatta bun that was kind of dry and wasn't going to make the best sandwich, so I just sliced it up. I'm going to make some crostinis, and I'm going to eat them for snacks and cheese later, and then I don't have to buy any crackers. And last night I had a leftover like half a serving of tuna or half a serving of salmon that I had seared a couple nights ago, and I made salmon fried rice. And I wasn't sure how it was going to be, but it was so good. I put some kale in there and a bunch of sesame seeds and made like a sesame sauce for it. It was fucking delicious.
I got a weird one for you.
What's
I got
that?
a really weird one for you. But I used to make it for staff meal when I worked at the gastropub.
Yeah.
I would make like a tuna bolognese.
Oh, interesting.
So this is going to sound really weird, everybody, and don't come at me because I don't really care because I've eaten it and you haven't. So
yeah,
but I would take, because we would do albacore tuna is it's a nice fish that you can get, and it's it's like frozen at sea, so you can get good quality albacore all over Canada.
Endangered.
No, it's very sustainable and it's a decent price. And so what we would do is I would take all the trim and I'd run it through the meat grinder, and then I would brown that in a pan and then build a bolognese on top of it. It was really weird. Yeah. But I really liked it.
Did the fish give you like a very umami kind of flavor then?
Kinda, yeah. Oh. Yeah, but it was like, because with like tomato and like, like it makes sense. Like,
sure, yeah.
Like with the tomato and the onion and the garlic and the chili. And I usually if there's tomatoes, I usually put thyme in there. Those are kind of, but it was an easy one.
Huh. Cool.
And it was weird. Like I remember putting it up for staff meal and the whole staff looking at me. And then I probably just shot them the same look I shoot my kids and was like, it's what's for dinner.
Yeah, right.
You can eat it or you cannot.
Do you want to go through service hungry?
Else. Yeah. So I think I won everybody over in the end.
Yeah, nice.
Because I know Steve Wall.
Like, had you ever made it before? You're just like, nah, screw it, I'm going to make it.
Well, I knew that because I was at the gastropub and Supply and Demand was right next door.
Yeah.
And they did they do a tuna prosciutto meatball with the same thing. Because they've got that tuna crudo on the menu, the one that Kevin always raves about. And so with the same idea, just wants to use up the trim. Yeah, they make a meatball using all of the prosciutto scraps and all of the tuna scraps. And it works out really well.
Cool. Okay.
Armitage. Chris Armitage. Look at what Chris says. Bear fat for pie crust if you can get it. Where is anybody going to get
well, from a bear
fat for their pie? Yeah. I don't even know if you're allowed to hunt bears in Ontario. I'm looking this up.
I don't know.
I think Chris is giving.
You can hunt black bear in Alberta because they're not. There's tons of them, right? I saw Kevin's buddy Kevin Kosowen, who made Springhammer. He on his show From the Wild, like one of the early seasons, they gave some bear fat to Blair, I think is his name, from Range Road, and he made a bear pie crust, and it looked good. But apparently it was super hard to work with because it has a really low melting point. But
yeah, I guess. Well, and you need to get like some kind of crazy.
Justin, who was just who works in our warehouse over the winter, he's got a fly fishing guide business during the summer, and he hunts quite a bit. And he just shot a spring bear a few weeks ago.
Yeah, every province is different, right?
Okay, here's a chef thing that's not a total lie. Like some of the flourishy things chefs do, I sometimes wonder if it's true. But
Salt Bay this right now?
Don't season. Well, I'm not gonna salt bay it, but don't season down here because you're gonna get like really concentrated kind of clumps of salt. And so I like to salt from up higher, so I can just get a little more of an even dispersion. I think that's a legit thing. What about you, Chris?
You're right. Yeah. But it tastes better if you bounce it off your forearm.
I haven't practiced enough. I don't have that skill.
No. My arm also doesn't bend far enough.
Yeah. I'm not really in good enough a shape either.
No, but it's true. But what you're saying is true. Like if you do it from higher, it'll kind of more evenly. You'll make a mess on the counter too, but
absolutely.
What did you put in the oven? Oh, those were your nuts that you put in.
I got my nuts, and now I'm just doing my food prep for the week today.
Why not? Why not?
Well, here's I guess my next tip then that I learned working in restaurants and is really applicable in a home kitchen is clean as you go and keep your space tidy and organized. Like just always put your knife back in the same spot and keep your raw ingredients on one side and your kind of cut prepped stuff on the other side, because then you don't end up with a confusing mess. And if you have a big like Thanksgiving meal to make or something, you're not going to end up flustered and stressed because your whole kitchen's a disaster. And on top of that, I'll clean as I go. Like I often do my dishes while I'm cooking, while something's sauteing, just so I don't have as big of a pile at the end.
Yeah, I find that really funny to hear you say that because I have a hard time picturing you.
I'm cleaning select scenarios.
You've done very well. Like every time, like I will say that every time we've done one of these videos and you've been cooking, you've been very tidy.
I used to not be super tidy, and I got to the point in my life where it just bugged the hell out of me, and I stopped being messy.
Fighting Usyk has a great tip, and I completely agree. Deli containers. They're these little, like it's like a half pint. It's like a 2-cup container, or sometimes you can get a 1 liter.
Yeah,
container,
these are 1 liters, but I keep that. That's only because all the half liters are full.
Yeah, but for your salt and everything. I also, you know what I've been keeping lately?
What's that?
Because like it's been a pandemic. Yeah. Lots of takeout is happening. Yeah. I keep all the takeout containers.
Yeah.
And that's
totally.
That's the that's yeah. That's,
if you're going to work.
For sure. Yeah. Or even like those, like the ones that the Mapo tofu comes in.
Yeah.
Is perfect for like a block of cheese. Like if you're just buying like regular like grocery store cheese.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You know, you cut it in half, that fits in that container perfectly.
Mm-hmm. And then you're not using like a Ziploc or something.
Yeah. Trevor has a good question.
Yeah.
I like Trevor. If you're holding out on questions, you don't have to.
No,
you can get more. You can throw them all out. What's your favorite cookbook what's your favorite cookbook you sell at the store or one you like? I haven't bought a new cookbook in a while, but the ones that I reference a lot, we don't sell this at the store, but I like The Joy of Cooking.
Oh yeah.
I use that a lot.
Somewhere.
I use The Joy of Cooking a lot for all of my, like, you know, the kids want to make muffins or something like that.
Yeah. I have my grandma's Joy of Cooking from like the 50s, and it's like a prized possession.
My mom's aunt, so my great aunt, gave me her copy of the Fanny Farmer cookbook that she was given when she moved out of her parents' house.
No kidding.
And I think the date written on it is like 1945.
Wow, that's insane.
It was like, good luck, Joan. We love you.
That's so cool.
Yeah. What have you got there? Show us your books.
So, I really like the Momofuku Cookbook. I know I talked about David Chang earlier. I like it because it's really inventive, and they do a lot of cool, just weird stuff. But they're doing like kind of some fusion cooking in parts of it, but they're not doing it for the sake of fusion. They're just like pairing up ingredients that don't normally go together that are actually really good. But just there's some really cool techniques in this book that just made me think about food in a little more of an open-minded way when I thought about it pretty rigidly.
Have you ever, before you go to the next one, have you ever cooked pork belly the way he cooks pork belly in that book?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. This book is trash because if I've had to like go wait in the hospital, this is the book I'll take with me to just read. Or I've like left it out in the rain because I've been like, planning stuff I want to cook and on my balcony, and it's still just going strong. I can't find that recipe now. Oh, here we go. There's no picture, but that's the page.
What is it?
Yeah, that's a really solid book.
Oh, yeah.
And it's an entertaining read. I don't read recipes usually. But each recipe in here has a really entertaining and often funny story to go with it. And that's why I like cookbooks that have a story to tell and,
and he's pretty good at the old writing as well. Like I do find like, as much as like I've said I haven't watched like Mind of a Chef or Chef's Table or any of that stuff. I do enjoy David Chang's cookbooks.
Yeah. I think they're pretty good.
Yeah. There's one, the Momofuku Milk Bar book. Like if you want a pastry book, is quite good.
That book is insane. Some of the stuff they make in there is,
I think, is her name.
Christina Tosi.
Tosi, yeah.
That's a really good book. If you like making pastries, but you want stuff that's a little more decadent and you like just out of control.
We've got a couple people chiming in with their favorites. Nice. Fighting Usyk has his grandmother's Betty Crocker cookbook, and it's still excellent. Awesome. Emily Collins also agrees with Joy of Cooking. It's a really good reference book. Like it gives me a good jumping off point. Yep. I don't know this one that Colin is referencing, the Big Blue Canadian Living Cookbook. Don't know that one.
I don't either.
Mark Laporte says any book by Thomas Keller. I know that we just ordered in the French Laundry / Per Se cookbook.
Oh yeah,
the store. We've got a couple of copies of that. I really like his Ad Hoc cookbook. Like that was another restaurant that he had down in Yountville. More kind of family style. I like that.
Cool.
Don Penny has lent me this book, and I had a good read through it. Diva Q's Barbecue Cookbook. There is some good stuff. And Aaron Franklin's book. Aaron Franklin's book, the barbecue book, is more of like a textbook on barbecuing. I really liked it.
Yeah.
And then on the topic of barbecue, Iggy says Serious Barbecue by Adam Perry Lang. I've got that book as well. I quite like it. What I like about Adam Perry Lang is that he's got some pretty non-conventional techniques he likes to use.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm not reading a cookbook for the story, I'm reading it purely because it's like a good textbook. And his stuff's really good for that. We've got that book on butchering pigs and rabbits and stuff that I own. That one's really
something
good.
Dan Firth writes that. I think.
Yeah. And
I'm gonna grab.
I learned to butcher half a pig from that one, and it was like so clear and instructive. It was better than watching YouTube videos.
You know what's really good for that? Yeah. And I've tried so hard to get the books into the store here, but they don't distribute them in Canada anymore. Is the River Cottage books.
Yes.
The River Cottage cookbook has a incredible step-by-step how to break down a pig. That's like awesome. If you're going to make a day of it, it's like how to butcher it, how to deal with how to make sausages, how to deal with the hams, like the whole thing. It's incredible.
Cool.
It's incredible. Iggy and Dawn, I've got an idea. Like I have a friend who teaches at a high school. And if you had any cookbooks that needed a new home, I know that he would be happy to take them.
Nice.
So Dawn and Iggy, if you're serious about having some books that you need to rehome, send me an email. You fellas both have my email address. Shoot me an email, and we'll if you're amicable to it, I can help with that.
Oh, that's really cool.
Mark made the crack pie recipe out of Momofuku Milk Bar. Never had it. I haven't
tried it, but I've heard it's great.
Yeah, and then Peter Brown says that Coconut Lagoon by Joan Thutengal is a great Ottawa-based. That is a great book. I know that Megan, who works here, cooks a lot of Cooks a ton of Indian food and really likes Joe's.
And Megan's a pretty big like cookbook aficionado, is she not? Like she's got a pretty serious.
No, she's the one who really like between Megan, Alex, and Mecky. The three of them who work here are the ones who kind of figure out what the rest of the company carries as far as books go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, this is another one that if we ever stop selling this at Knifewear, it'll be a dark day. Because this is if you're going to buy a cookbook for someone else or for yourself, but especially if you're going to like, bring it as a gift for a dinner party.
I'm just going to get some water.
Oh, yeah, go for it, man. Or get it as like a Christmas gift for someone. Family meal. This is written by Ferran Adrià and his team, and it is just like the most fantastic basic cooking manual. It's what they make before service for their family meal. So everything is made with relatively easy and fine ingredients, and it's all stuff that half of it's stuff you should have in your pantry. The rest is fairly easy to source, but it's recipes that are affordable to cook. So because you don't have huge margins in restaurants, there's not a ton of extra money to feed your staff. So it's all fairly simple, fairly easy to find, affordable ingredients, but just really, really delicious recipes. There's a photo for each step of the process. So it's almost impossible to screw it up. And there's measurements for 2, 6, 20, or 75 people, depending on how large of a batch you want to make. They make it for 75 before service. Obviously, if you're making it home, you're going to make it for 2 or 6 people. But I really love this book. And then,
I forgot. Someone was talking about Marco Pierre White earlier.
Oh, yeah.
And I forgot I had this in my office.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's an old book, and I don't know that anyone's going to cook anything out of it. But if you wanted, like kind of how like we were talking about the Momofuku book, and it's like there's a ton of like neat photography, and Marco Pierre White's a bit of a character. Like I'll just preface it.
If you want to look into how kitchens used to be, even more so than Bourdain, Marco Pierre White's going to show you just how messed up.
Well, if you want it. Like if you want someone to blame for the way fine dining chefs react, it could very well be this guy. Like if you want it, like here's a picture in the book. Okay. It's very difficult to tell, but this guy right here, that's a 20-something-year-old Gordon Ramsay.
No kidding.
Yeah, like so the two of them, there's all kind of they're both huge personalities, ton of drama between the two of them, but
of course
that was some joker named Kevin Kent is asking questions.
I thought he was supposed to be off today.
Yeah, I thought so too. Clearly he wanted to join, but he's got a good question. How do you make fried rice? It's a serious question. It never tastes nice when he does it.
I mean, I'm no fried rice master, right? Like, it still tastes better when I order it from a restaurant, but I've got pretty good at it. Okay, main things. I obviously have a well-seasoned wok. I have a Yamato wok. These are the carbon steel ones we sell. Kevin, I think you have this too. But, well-seasoned wok, for those of you watching, really important. It's pretty tough to make good fried rice with rice you cook that day unless you made it in the morning and you let it dry out in the fridge all day. The best fried rice is always made with leftover rice from, at least a day ago. Not dried out, but like dry enough so that each kernel is kind of its own separate thing. And there's not a lot of moisture on the surface. Because if there's moisture in it, it's just going to stick to the pan and it's going to get crappy. Yeah. A super hot wok is important. And I saute or stir fry all my ingredients kind of separately. It's like I'll cook my protein, then I'll put it off to the side. Then I'll cook my egg, then I'll put it off to the side. Then I cook my veggies, then I put it off to the side. And then I clean my wok and I start with a fresh coat of oil. And then I just fry the rice on its own for a while. Then I throw everything in and I season it. I usually throw in a bit of cooking wine first and then a bit of soy sauce, just so I'm not making it too wet. Because as Fighting Isak's saying, it's it's hard to make super good fried rice without a wok burner. And I don't have a wok burner, I have an electric stove. So the trick is to preheat your wok before each ingredient. Get it like screaming hot so that things don't stick. And that'll help for sure. But you really want to keep the temperature of the wok up by not adding too much and not adding too many like seasonings too quickly.
Oh, Kevin is saying he's taking a break from chopping wood.
Oh, nice.
But Kevin's favorite cookbook is one worth seeking out.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can still get it. But Cooking by Hand by Paul Bertolli is an incredible book. It does go a little bit deeper into considering, and Nathan talks about this quite a bit, but if you're making pasta, there's only there's sometimes only 2 ingredients in pasta, eggs and flour.
Right.
So if you use good eggs and use good flour, you'll have nicer pasta. If you use shitty eggs and shitty flour, you'll get. I'm on it. And I'm not just like rattling the jar like Kevin accuses me of. But there's another one too that I know Kevin really likes, like the old Charlie Trotter book is a good one.
Yeah. I can't remember what it's called.
Like here's the thing about cooking is that the food has been the same the whole time.
Yeah.
This is where I'm gonna piss somebody off with what I'm about to say. But the food has been the same the entire time. It's just the way you put it on a plate is different.
Totally.
And what you call it is something different. I bet you I could I'll find some ridiculous
recipe.
They've
managed to make like new breeds of squash and hotter peppers, but they're still different versions of the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Chris
served it with baby leeks, a ravioli of scallops, choucroute of celery with a grain mustard sauce. It's just plated weird. It looks dated because of the way it's plated, but those things would all still taste good together.
Yeah, I could easily see myself finding that on a menu in Calgary several times over.
Yeah, red mullet with citrus fruits. Now, some of the ingredients, we don't really serve much of red mullet anymore. There's sustainability is an issue for sure, but so I'll stop.
Well, here, this is my last one. Is the Noma fermentation guide, and this is like a deep dive. So if you want to dip your toe into fermenting, this is probably the wrong book to start with. Depending, you might want to just start with something a little more basic. But if you want to learn, if you like learning about the science of why you're doing what you're doing and what's actually going on a bacterial level or a molecular level, this is what that book's going to teach you. It is very much like a textbook for fermenting, and I learned a ton from it. I really, really like this book. All right.
That's a good one. Yeah. There's another one that we have one in, I can't remember what it's called. It's like a beginner's guide to fermentation and preserving. I can't remember what it's called.
I saw that the other day. I think it's something guide to fermentation or guide to preservation or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Fighting Usyk. I hate the term dated. Good food is good food.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I had an instructor. He actually as far as I know, last I heard, he runs the program out in Charlottetown.
Yeah.
But he told me, he said he used to say this to everyone. He would say, if you can come up with a dish that is somehow not rooted in classical cuisine, I'll buy you dinner anywhere you want to go in town. Because it's impossible.
Right.
No, there's not really you're not really reinventing anything. Even Mark Laporte here has brought up sous vide and molecular gastronomy. Well, all molecular gastronomy is that a bunch of chefs took the ingredients that the huge factories make, like any of that stuff is all readily available stuff, and it's all of the agar and these kind of crazy ingredients, they're things that are being used in big food production.
Yeah, they just
so it's not really
eventually made it a bit more accessible.
Yeah.
Which I think is always a good thing. That's what I think has changed a lot in cooking, is that we've never had greater accessibility to ingredients and to information. If I want to learn how to make a yellow fish curry like the restaurant down the street makes, I may not be able to replicate it perfectly, but I can go online and I can look for some really authentic recipes, and I can probably find something that's a pretty damn good approximation without having to do a whole lot of figuring it out myself.
Yeah. And that, the way what you just said made me think of something else that I was hoping I'd have a chance to bring up at some point during this discussion, and that's that authentic doesn't always mean you're going to like it.
No,
right? Not. Like, sometimes you're allowed to just not like something.
Yeah,
know, and then it's one of those things. Like, it's just like, you know what? Sometimes like modern doesn't make it bad. Classic doesn't make it bad. Some things you like and some things you don't. Like sous vide. You know what, Mark? It is for what it was intended for. The idea of accurately cooking large quantities of things. Sous vide is great. Like for that like ultra precision. But I don't really like. I used to do it at Union. We would sous vide the chicken for frying. Like the fried chicken was sous vide ahead of time.
Yeah.
The reason why I opted to do that is because it was cheaper in the long, because I also did a lot of whole animal butchery in the restaurant. So I wanted to have the vac pack machine for when I like got in a whole pig and there's only 2 racks of ribs on a pig. So I'd have to save them up.
Yeah.
So I did that. I knew I was buying that regardless. Yeah. We decided that we were going to put fried chicken on the menu, but I only had 1 deep fryer in the restaurant.
Right.
So it was cheaper for me to buy the immersion circulator than it was for me to buy another deep fryer.
Yeah.
The idea was that we would use the immersion circulator to sous vide all the chicken to a very precise temperature, and then we could turn the deep fryer up higher.
Yep.
So it would get crispier faster and not overcook the chicken.
Yeah.
So that's I see a lot of people doing that. It's become a lot easier. That equipment has become much more available to people in their homes.
Yep.
I don't really mess around with it. Like Dawn was talking about smoking this big steak and then doing like searing it in the pan. Sometimes you'll hear that called like a reverse sear. I don't really mess around with a lot of stuff like that. Like to be honest, a perfect meal for me is it's a bit of meat cooked over wood or charcoal and a salad. Like that's most of the time. That's what I want to eat.
I'm with you.
There was someone, Carmike 95 was asked if we ever craft our own beer. I've never made beer. I've helped do it, like, visit a brewery or something like that. But
that's as close as I've gotten.
Yeah, I've got friends who do it, but it's not really for me. I actually get a lot of flack for my taste in beer. Because I still like, if I'm going to drink, I drink like a 20-year-old.
Right.
Where I want larger quantities and less quality.
Yeah.
So I don't really, to be perfectly honest, I don't drink very much anymore. I'll have a beer or a glass of wine or whatnot every now and again. Mm-hmm. But I barely drink. Like, I'm not a teetotaler by any means, but I don't drink very often. And I like light beers. I like when I go to a restaurant, we did a pop-up in Montreal a few years ago, and Alex and I were doing it. We sat down at the bar at Maison Publique, a very, very well-known place in Montreal. Mm-hmm. And the bartender asked if I wanted something to drink. I was like, yeah, sure. He's like, well, I'm like, but it just kind of surprised me. And he was like, well, what do you like? And my response was, I want you to pretend that and this was in the middle, like this was like November. And I said, I want you to pretend that it's a hot summer day and we're sitting outside. I also happen to be a 70-year-old lady. And he's like, well, we've got a great sparkling Riesling in the fridge. And I said, that sounds perfect.
That sounds really nice right now.
Like, that's the kind of stuff I like. I don't really.
I like to drink refreshing things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's usually it, because most of the drinking that I would do would be after work when I've just spent the last, 14 hours standing in front of a stove.
Yeah.
The last thing I want is some like bready, malty stout.
If I'm going to go like do a brewery tour and like really go and experience things, I will totally try that stuff. But If it's the end of a long day, I want the beerest flavored beer that I can possibly get.
Yeah. Yeah, that's usually what I like.
I am interested in learning to brew some of my own stuff, though. I'm going to give it a try once I have the space. I made
a maple wine one time. Oh. Like a maple moonshine almost.
Oh, man. Yeah. That sounds dangerous.
Yeah, I found a recipe for mead, and then I replaced the honey with maple syrup.
Nice.
And it was okay, but that was like, it gave you an awful headache, though.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know, well, you like that maple whiskey I bring out to you sometimes.
I do. I can't drink that much of it anymore, though.
Yeah. Mark is asking if I ever go to the olive oil store near our shop. So he's talking about the Unrefined Olive. Oh, it's a cool little store. It's a couple blocks away where they've got like all the flavored balsamics and olive oils, and you can kind of mix your own and
cool.
You know, do your own little combinations. There's another shop like that called Aurelius Food Company over on Wellington. We've done some cut like a chef classes over there. The guy who owns it, his name's Mike. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, I seem to remember that.
You know what? I got another friend. His name is Malad. Malad owns Napoli's out in Stittsville. Yeah. So very, very straightforward Italian restaurant. They do a lot of like takeout pizzas and baked pastas and things like that. Great guy. He's a great guy. He's super like, he's like one of the, like he would always pop, even now, like Tuesday or Wednesday, you can count on Malad to just poke his head in the door. Like, even though we're closed, we got the table pushed up to the door. He'll always poke his head in the door. He's like, "You boys need a coffee?" Oh. Like, and he'll always, he's like super awesome. But he brought me some olive oil. I just finished it off yesterday. Some olive oil that was harvested from his family's land in Lebanon.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was really good. Really good.
That's you don't. I mean, everybody's crazy about Greek olive oil or Spanish olive oil, but you wouldn't get Lebanese olive oil all that often.
No, but it was. You know what? Like, I used to always buy. So, like, Mike over at Aurelius has this like special reserve olive oil, this cold pressed olive oil that comes off of his family's land, and I can't remember where in Italy they're located. I'm not doing him a favor there, but it's incredible. It's like $20 a bottle or something like that. Like it might seem expensive, but it is really, really delicious. And I would go through it like crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The Malad stuff was like, I'm gonna call him after I finished it yesterday because I roasted some cauliflower in the oven.
Nice.
I just I tossed it in this olive oil.
Yeah,
with some like rough chopped. I think I just smashed a couple cloves of garlic. Here, everyone will come after me for this, but like a rough diced onion.
Yeah.
Because there's just certain things you can't talk about on Japanese Knife 101 without raising a fuss.
Without raising controversy.
Dicing onions is one of them. And then just a little bit of cumin and paprika on it, and it was really good. The kids even liked it.
Nice. Yeah, I love roasted cauliflower, man. It's so good. And then you can take the leftovers and make like a nice salad out of it with like tahini dressing and
Yeah, I like a cauliflower salad quite a bit.
Yeah, me too.
Well, you can always get like when you go to like a shawarma place around here, you can always get the like roasted cauliflower.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Okay, so I got a question for you, Chris. I got a couple of chicken breasts, and I want to kind of like cure them and smoke them, and almost make them into like not quite like a lunch meat, but almost.
Yeah.
Would you brine it, or would you just throw some salt and sugar on it and let it hang out for a couple days?
I would brine it.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I would. If you got string there.
Yeah.
I would tie them together like kind of opposite.
Oh yeah.
So they don't dry out too much when you smoke them.
That's a good idea. I do have some butcher's twine. I'll have to remember if I can tie a knot.
Yeah. Fighting Usyk says a dry brine, but I think if you're going to put those on the smoker, you want to brine them and then you want to let them sit out of the brine.
Right.
Like if it depends on the strength of the brine, but like an hour or two in a stronger brine and then let them sit.
Yeah.
So it kind of like disperses throughout.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Yeah,
I still would season it with salt and pepper, but
I was going to do maybe a 5% brine and let it sit overnight.
Fighting Usyk is really keen on the dry brine. And now he's given me a big smiley face. Don Penny had said he was. Yeah. Well, you know what, guys? I know what I know. All right. What else we got here? Fighting Usyk said Team Lordy. Here's a good question from Mark. Besides your knife, what tool could you not do without?
Probably this guy, like a good quality cast iron pan. That would be tough to live without.
Yeah, I'd say good quality pan. I also I got a couple of spoons I really like those new spoons, those Gestura spoons that we got. I'd be. Did you buy one? Is that where you're going?
Yeah, I got one hiding here. Don't worry, guys. This hand doesn't have chicken on it. This hand does. So I'm not touching stuff with my chicken hand.
I was waiting for someone to say something.
That's the first thing you learn when you're learning butchery is, well, at least first thing I learned was keep one hand clean.
Yeah. But
yeah, this guy is pretty rad.
I probably use a spoon. You know what I've got at home? And I don't know but Bowgrain, the company that makes that so every now and again you can get wooden utensils from them.
Yep. And
they've got one, it's he calls it a licket. I never heard the word before.
Right.
But it's like a risotto spoon. It's about an inch wide and it's just like a flat kind of spatula spoon. I use that more than anything else in my kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A good spoon of some kind is really, really handy.
Yeah. I was thinking about
smoked a whole chicken. I forgot about that. I did a whole chicken this weekend too on the smoker.
I would definitely go for this dry brine, which I've never called a dry. I've always just called it rub. I've always called it rub.
Yeah.
The dry brine, the wording of dry. Now, apparently I've been informed suitably that this is not necessarily a new term and it's much more common than what I thought it to be. But
yeah, apparently it's very common. I just learned it a year ago as well.
Yeah, because when I was in school,
there's a cat about a foot below me trying desperately to get some of this raw chicken,
waiting for something to come. Because when I was in culinary school, we always said your options were a brine, which was like a wet, like a salty liquid, or a rub.
Yeah,
and
I think that was the terminology in the textbook even.
Yeah, but I do the whole I if I was doing a whole chicken, I would totally, I would heavily salt it, and I would go for the dry brine. But because you already took the skin off of those chicken breasts, and they're not on the bone, if you would cut through the bone, I would have just and left the skin on. I would just heavily, I would heavily season it like what Usyk is doing. But because it's it's going to be a little more delicate because you don't have that layer, you don't have the bone protecting it or the fat from the skin. I would go for the classic brine.
Right.
And then Damon's got a duck, and Damon is looking for some inspiration for the duck.
Okay.
And I might agree with Admiral Longstash. I do enjoy a confit de canard.
Yes, I would. I would do that with the legs.
Yeah,
and then maybe just do some nice seared off breasts.
Yeah. Now I've never been able. I've only tried a couple of times, but I've never roasted a whole duck in a way that I was happy with.
Me neither.
It's kind of like the we were talking earlier about pigs, like roasting pigs. The thing about roasting a pig is by the time the shoulders and the legs are cooked, the loin is far gone. Yeah, right. Right? So that's why when you do a whole hog barbecue or whatever, you chop it all up together. Yeah. So then those kind of overcooked loins get some of the fat and juices from the shoulders. But you can't really do that with a duck. I don't know. It depends. What are you doing? What's your plan, Damon? Are you going to break the duck down, or are you gonna? You want to cook it whole? Give us a little. We'll give you a little. But yeah, I'm all about
invest in a duck press and do duck a la press.
Oh yeah, you could do that.
You ever have that, Chris?
No, but I remember watching this TV special once about some of the most expensive meals in the world, and that was one of them.
It's pretty awesome. I mean, they have this giant copper. I think SATE, the cooking school in Calgary, still has one. It's a big copper press, and you use it. You basically roast the duck about halfway, and you bring it and you carve off the breast and the legs table side, and you finish them in the kitchen. And in the meantime, the waiter presses the liver and the bones and all that stuff and presses out all the juices and then mounts them into like a sauce with butter and sometimes foie gras. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. I like duck quite a bit. It's one of my favorite meats to eat. But yeah, short of like Iggy says, wrap it in caul fat. Wrap it in caul fat and smoke it. Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Damon says he was thinking about breaking it down.
I've never cooked with caul fat, I'll be honest.
Oh, you'd like it. You'd like it.
It's fat, so I imagine so.
Yeah. But so do you know what it is though?
Well, it's from the stomach lining, isn't it? Like so
it's like this like spider webby kind of fat, right?
Yeah.
I used to use it quite often. Like whenever I could get it, I would order caul fat in because it would just like it's kind of like the it's like the difference between barding and larding. You know what that is?
Again, that's one of those things I knew once upon a time when I was in cooking school. Yeah. I have no idea anymore.
I told Armitage that I was going to torment you with very classic and technical cooking terms today.
That's totally fair. I think so many of those things, they're not obsolete, but they're so rarely used anymore that I'm sometimes shocked that they're still taught in school.
But these are things that you would do often, to be honest with you. Okay. Now, barding. Oh shit! Now I got to make sure I get it right. Larding is when you insert fat into the meat.
Right.
Like if you were to take like an eye of round roast, for instance, and then you can stick it in the you stick fat inside the meat. That's larding.
Yeah.
But when you bard, it's when you lay fat over top.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Like if you've ever roasted a turkey and put bacon over the top, that is barding.
I almost
there is a small
roasted turkey. Although I usually do the deboning method for a turkey if I'm the one in control.
Yeah, I would too. That's like when we did the videos about how to roast a turkey and whatnot. Like Kevin and Mike, they asked me to do it, and I was like, "But that's not how I would cook a turkey."
Right? Yeah.
You know. Because like even this year for Christmas, and this year was all screwed up. Like we couldn't have we didn't have family over or anything.
Yeah,
I did. Like you know what? I cooked duck confit for Christmas. That's what we had.
Nice. Oh, I did the butcher shop roast. It was pretty awesome. Yeah,
because the butcher shop there's a young lady working at the butcher shop who used to work for me at the gastropub, and so she had just made confit, and I asked her, I said, well, how did you make it? And she says, well, I made it the way that you taught me how. And I said, okay, perfect. I'll just come by that.
That's awesome.
So, but yeah, caul fat's handy. So what it is, Nathan, is it's like the spider webby fat that you can wrap around stuff. It's almost picture like a fat that like a saran wrap fat.
Right. Yeah.
Right, so it works really, really well. It just kind of helps keep moisture in things.
Yeah, I had friends that used it in culinary school. Like I had a bunch of buddies that were into like competing and that kind of stuff, and I couldn't be bothered. But a lot of them used it because you were required to. But it was interesting.
Yeah. There's some sausages that we used to make. Like they're called crepinette, and it's like you would take this sausage meat, the force meat, and just like make little patties, and then you would wrap it in the caul fat. So
okay, cool.
It's like a kind of a weird kind of sausage. Peter Brown is asking, do I know what else barding refers to. And I'm wondering...
Is this a Dungeons and Dragons question?
I'm thinking that it might be, but I think barding is like the name of the armor that you would like put on your horse. Isn't it?
Okay. Yeah, that does ring a bell.
I think so. I think it is. Or he's just talking about like bards. I don't know. Little traveling minstrels. See if I was right. Peter's a big nerd like me too. He brought us Star Wars Christmas lights this year. So.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. I should mention, if anybody's planning on tuning in on Thursday to see Naoto interview Masashi-san, feel free to bring questions to the show because, Naoto's not going to be able to ask every question you have, but I'm going to be there kind of picking out the most common themes and sort of moderating. So we'll have a time to ask probably 5 or 6 questions from viewers. So if you do have something you want to ask Masashi-san, definitely tune in and bring a question with you.
You know what? I've done a pretty good job with the notes that Armitage gave me, but I forgot to mention that if there's anybody in Calgary, or if you know anybody in Calgary who has experience in videography and video editing, we are looking to hire somebody to help us with our YouTube content.
Yeah.
And like all the videos we do and whatnot. So if you yourself are interested, or if you
know anyone,
or if you know anyone, you got a pal who's in that line of work and you think they'd get along with us.
Yeah.
Because
you'll have to work crazy. With me. So that might be that might be a bit of a turnoff for some people.
No, Nathan is insufferably kind. If I can give him a backhanded compliment.
I'll take that.
Yeah. Nathan is like, I'm probably the one who's difficult to work with, to be honest. But yeah, if you want, you can send an email to tv@knifewear.com or feel free to share that with people like Nathan was saying there before, Sharpening Night in Canada this week is going to be about the interview with Masashi.
Yeah.
So it looks like
6 p.m., not 7:15. So it's earlier than usual.
Okay, so 6 p.m. Mountain Time. So that's 8 o'clock for those of us in Ontario.
Yeah.
Chris Armitage did put the link to the job posting up in the YouTube comments if you're watching over there.
Sweet.
Naoto's going to be thinning knives this week on the Naoto's Nerdy Power Hour. That's a term that we often use. We often use for hot rodding. Sorry, brain went mush.
All good.
And then it looks like we've got another quiz show coming up next week, which will be interesting because I haven't made any questions, and I'm only finding out it's a quiz show. Now, I know I've been told weeks ago what it was going to be, but I've done no preparation. Yeah, probably months ago. Yeah. And then we've got on the 14th of June is Sharp Knives Rock episode 3, which will be Father's Day beer, axes, and more. Do you know that the day after that is my birthday, Nathan?
Is it really?
Yeah.
I'll
be turning the 15th of June. Mark it in your calendars, everybody. Chris Lord's birthday.
That'll be an easy one for me to remember because it's exactly one day before my birthday.
That's what I thought. I knew we were within a day of each other.
Yeah.
So, although I'm older than you.
By a day only.
By one day and several years. Are you 30 yet?
I'm 30 a day after you turn whatever age you turn.
Okay, so you're turning 30 this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a real grown up.
I am 5 years and 364 days older than you.
That's not bad.
That's not too bad. Mark Laporte is asking, what's your favorite ingredient? That's crazy, Mark. Mark, you know that is a hard question and that there is no simple answer to that.
Yeah.
I would say
I like chicken a lot. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I cook with chicken so much.
Yeah. You know what I use a lot of lately? I use a lot of I've been using a lot of store-bought kimchi. Like that's maybe like a favorite ingredient right now. Like I've been buying just like, the stuff, it's like in a squarish jar with a red lid.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's better, but I've been buying that. And I use it like that. Those hanger steaks that I did last week, I pureed kimchi with soy sauce and sesame oil.
Yeah.
And I marinated the hanger in that, and it was pretty good.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
It was pretty good. Alex liked it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what I've been cooking with lately. I've been making chili oil at home and using that, especially like if I make fried rice or something.
Yeah.
Like I'll not just use it as a garnish, but use it actually in the process. And you can kind of just like incorporate it into like, I don't know, pasta sauce, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I've been cooking brisket a lot. I've been trying to learn how to cook brisket properly. So,
well, ask Dawn. Apparently, mine's garbage.
Oh no!
I put a lot. I'm realizing that by not doing a video with Kevin, I take a lot of abuse from Kevin.
You do
when I do a video.
That's why you think I'm so nice. I'm just not Kevin. That's all.
Like no one has told me that I cut an onion wrong. No one has told me that they've beat me in a chopstick challenge. No one has beaten me over the head with a terrible joke about the Swiss flag.
Yeah, thank God for that.
I'm starting to realize that maybe I'm not the curmudgeon that everyone makes me out to be, but I'm just tormented.
That's why we gave you this break. It was just, it's like a mental health day, mental health week.
Yeah. I think that's what it was. This is great. I don't hate doing these videos at all.
Look at that.
It's just Kevin torments me all the time.
Okay, here's my favorite ingredient right now.
It's probably something weird.
It is. It's homemade cider vinegar. So you can actually see that's my vinegar mother in there, that weird jellyfish looking thing.
Yeah.
And she makes all my vinegar now. I really like cooking with vinegar. I think acid is very vital in food. And I particularly really like cider vinegar just for whatever reason. Yeah. So I drink a lot of cider. Like we're talking about refreshing drinks earlier. I drink way more cider than I do beer.
Yeah.
So I'll just, when I get a 6-pack or a larger pack of cider, I'll just pop a can open and chuck it in here.
Yeah.
And so chuck one can in there maybe every week until it fills up. And then it just like a little unpasteurized cider vinegar just to get the mother started. But
like that
that's
brag
been going
stuff?
now for 6 months maybe.
You want to know something? So I did a stage before I opened my restaurant.
Yep.
I did a stage. So that's something where restaurants tell people that you're kind of trading work for knowledge.
Yeah.
Right. This restaurant has no intention of hiring me. I have no intention of working there, but I offer to work free for a few days so I can learn some of the things they do.
Right.
And so I did this stage at a restaurant in Charleston called Husk. And the chef, his name is Sean Brock.
Mm-hmm.
He was making, I don't know if he's still at the top of the dog pile. I don't know. He was for a while. But when I was there doing my stage, he was making a vinegar out of cheer wine, which is like a cherry soda.
Oh, okay.
That you can't get. You can't get it in like the northern states.
Right.
You can only get it in the south. But it's like this cherry soda that I quite like. I actually have a case of it in my house right now, but I haven't been drinking soda. I had one. There's 11 cans. Oh, Swiss guy just tuned in. Thought this video was better today. Couldn't figure out why. It's because we're not making fun of your flag.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got no beef with Switzerland. I'm gonna say that.
Never been there, but it sounds like a lovely place.
You know what? Switzerland apparently has great beef. I've heard that. Expensive.
Oh, right. So theoretically, you could have some beef with Switzerland.
I could, yeah. A couple of my favorite instructors when I was in culinary school, they were from Switzerland.
Yeah.
Hans, and Jorg. Hans Vicky, Hans Andreg, and Jorg Solterman. I think they've all retired by now. But
Right on.
they were all very small, too. I don't know if that's a Swiss thing, but these guys were all quite short.
Watch out, you might offend Swiss guy again.
No. Well, these 3 men were short. I don't know if people are
fair.
shorter than, I don't know. I'm not saying Switzerland is a short country.
That was a thing I noticed about old chefs in general. For some reason, all the old Austrian and German and French chefs at state, they were either 7 feet tall or 5 feet tall. I don't know if that's just a thing about old chefs, but
you and I just happen to be tall. Like maybe they were normal sized.
Right. Probably.
Right? Like you and I are not short. Like I'm not the tallest person around, but I'm taller than average. And you're taller than me. So Absolutely. Maybe that's what it is. So Don says I can get Cheerwine in upstate New York. Oh, that's good to know. I don't go over to that. I don't cross the border too often. What have you got there now?
Oh, it's just some of the chicken I cut off. I'm gonna marinate it.
This guy hasn't stopped at all. I've been just sitting here chit-chatting, throwing money in the jar because I say bad words. Should I put on? We got a video about truing stones, flattening stones.
Oh,
should we watch
that? Talk about that.
Let's put that on. This is the plan. Okay,
yep.
I'm gonna put on the video.
Yep.
Hopefully it works. If for some reason it screws up, we'll just come back to chatting. But let's turn on the video.
Yep.
Think of any questions that you want to close the show out with, folks. Mm-hmm. Because when the video comes back, or when we're done the video, I don't even know how long it is. Probably 2 minutes. I don't know.
This guy's about 7 minutes, but we could just play the first little bit.
Yeah, well, if I get bored of it, I'll turn it off. And we'll answer any of your outstanding questions.
Yep.
And then I'll do my last little bit of housekeeping, and then we'll say goodbye.
Sounds good to me.
Work for you, Nathan?
Yeah, man.
So bear with me as I try to remember how to do this local video. Bum, 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 bum. Where is it? Is that it? Maybe that's it. Well, I don't know what this is. No, there's no way that's it.
Don't play the wrong thing there, Chris.
Flatten computer. This is my work computer. I only use it for work, I'll have you know.
That's good.
I get accused of what you're accusing me of fairly often, strangely enough. So here we go. Let's get some of this shit out of the way. All right. So here we go. Turn the video on. Nathan, stop.
One of the most important steps on sharpening is actually to have flat stones.
It's being lame.
Here's why, and this is how you do it.
Naoto's caught up. Kind of. And turn off some of your cameras.
Japanese kitchen knives and sharpening much better.
Nah, it's not working right.
Channel, hit notification bell so that you don't miss a video. Also,
maybe use the products one we made this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've wrecked everything, Nathan, by turning that on.
That's okay. I think we're good now.
There we go. Yeah, I turned it off. It's not working right. Sorry, Naoto. So, guys, the video I was supposed to show you is going to go on YouTube tomorrow. But for some reason, it locked everything up.
Tomorrow at 9 a.m. So real soon.
Tomorrow at 9 a.m. on YouTube.
And it's all about basically why you need to keep your stones flat and how to keep them flat.
Yeah, keep your stones flat. It makes sharpening easier. And it works better.
Big time.
Big time. So, sorry. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. It's just, I don't know. My connection's not what it should be.
Okay, here, I've got a recommendation for everybody watching once this video's over. Because Ellipsis just said 2 FPS, 2 frames per second, Naoto is terrifying. If any of you have watched the 45-minute video of Owen doing knife skills, it's quite a good video. It's very instructional. But on YouTube, you can change the speed of your videos. And I was watching it for some reason, at 75% speed. And it was absolutely hilarious because it just sounds like he's really drunk.
Can you imagine? Well, maybe he was really drunk and they just sped him up.
Yeah, that's possible. But it's absolutely hilarious. So if you need some entertainment after this, go do that.
Huh. Owen's Ellipsis is right. Owen's knife skills video is very good. The idea behind that video was that we haven't been able to do a cut like a chef class in the stores in over a year now.
Yeah, it's been forever.
Which is terrible. Oh, Ellipsis says no offense to the present company, but I believe Owen is the best educator out of the lot. I'm not offended.
I think you're probably correct.
Yeah. I've kind of been given, in my own defense, Ellipsis, I've been given the short end of the stick here, just so you know. Like, I've been given the job of yeah, I've been a circus. I've just been turned into the lion tamer.
Yeah, that's fair.
But no, Owen is the problem is that I just like to do things the way I do them,
Yeah.
Oh, and Ellipsis says, yeah, you had the hard stuff like cutting an onion properly. Well, and with that, I'm going to do my housekeeping and turn the video off because Ellipsis is being a jerk. So, what do we got else? What else is going on? Do we got anything else, like anything I'm supposed to plug other than the other videos?
Well, Father's Day is coming up, so in a couple weeks we'll have kind of a Father's Day episode. But in general, if you need something for your dad, we've got lots of great grill accessories at Knifewear for barbecuing, that kind of stuff. We've also got these new Fujimoto knives that are super duper cool. I've been having a lot of fun with this one. Sadly, I'm going to have to give it back soon because it's a sample. It's not mine. But they don't tell anyone, but they're already available for sale on the website. They will be hitting stores in about 2 weeks or a week and a half once we've had a chance to take photos of them. But if you really want one right now, you can grab them on the website. They're super cool. I've been really enjoying using this demo. And yeah, we're pretty excited about them. They're going to launch around the time of Father's Day. And we've actually got, if you do need Father's Day gifts, our sister brand, Kent of Inglewood, might have seen me last week talking to Mike from that shop. They specialize in like pocket knives and hunting knives and axes. Also really good Father's Day gifts if you need something. So that's my news.
Yeah. Well, I guess I could remind everyone to I'm not really mad at you, Ellipsis, just so you know. I know. But yeah, that comment on that onion video, like, I don't know why that person had to decide to like start a fight with, like, I'm just doing it the way they showed me in culinary school. Like, that's just how you do it, you know?
My favorite YouTube comment recently, that was my favorite up until recently. I think it's hilarious when we get mean comments, mainly because I'm not in most of the videos, but we had one on Owen's Cut Like a Chef video, and I think it's a great video. There's a lot of really nice comments, but one of them was, you are not Japanese. Stop teaching knife skills and get a paid job.
Yeah. Yeah. Like he's not being paid to do that.
No. I guess they didn't get that he's the manager of the store, but it was a very mean and hilarious comment, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, Iggy's throwing me a little bit of love. He saying that the sharpening classes I did early on in the pandemic with Kasumi were educational, but I didn't do anything. Kasumi did it all. Oh, man. Oh, man.
You did some pretty great educational cooking videos early on in the pandemic. I enjoyed those.
Yeah, I guess, but I am just a bit of a, like, I just do what I like to do, and I don't do much else.
Yeah, that's fair.
Owen's much more open-minded. I would never think to make Hassenpfeffer. Not in a million years. You know, like, even like drugs or not, like I just would never cross my mind, right? So, but yeah, these new Fujimotos, I think they're worth checking out. I'm pretty excited about them. I knew they've been coming for a while. I haven't had a chance to put my hands on them yet, but I'm also excited about them.
Yeah, you're gonna love it, man. They're super cool. I think they would make great gifts for people that are okay with a bit of maintenance. But honestly, I think it's just a really affordable knife that I kind of want to buy myself.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like the Masakage Mizus, right? Yeah. Like it's like just pure performance. We're not trying to do anything.
There's no bells and whistles, but there's still a really great looking knife that I would be more than happy to have on my knife magnet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Ellipsis has given me some credit for the Yakitori stuff.
Yeah. I don't know about. I don't think post-pandemic is a thing yet, though.
No, that was very early on.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the videos that I did, I don't know that we held on to a lot of them because I just shot them on my cell phone.
The Yakitori videos are still up on the channel if anybody wants to go watch them. I think they're on the Knifewear Cooks playlist.
I don't even know if I would
Instagram too.
Oh, are they? I don't even know if I would still agree with the advice I gave. I changed my mind. I'm very fickle.
Yeah.
Like I won't back down about the onion only because someone made me be that way.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I'm always open to new ways to do things. So, and Owen's got that voice, you know, he's got a really deep voice.
Sometimes I just call Vancouver because I want to hear his voice.
Yeah, I just get mad like when trucks drive by the house and stuff like that. Like, really bugs me. So, you know, but I think maybe we should shut it off for now. I got to go finish building my axe wall. Oh, starting to ramble. We've been rambling for 2 hours.
Yeah, that's fair. The first 5 minutes was pretty good, and then it was just rambling.
Yeah, well, we got to watch you cook a bunch. That's nice.
Yeah, and do a terrible job of.
So what you want to do with your brine there?
Yep.
Leave it in for like, I don't know, give it like 2 hours, but then let it sit out of the brine. It depends on how strong it is, because there's that like that the chicken is gonna suck it up, right? Like boneless, skinless chicken it's you know. But if you let it sit out of the brine afterwards, it's almost like letting a steak rest. And it'll kind of do the same thing. The brine will kind of even out a little bit, and if you leave it uncovered in your fridge, it'll form a bit of a sticky surface. It'll take the smoke better. Yes,
I've heard that. I've done that when I've made bacon and that kind of thing before.
Yeah, that's called a pellicle.
Right.
Pellicle.
Yeah, you find those at the beach normally, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, ellipsis. Only one knife. Is there any care required for lacquered handles? No, just, you know what? Don't be too hard on them. You know, if the lacquer can chip if you bang them around.
Yeah.
You just want to use something soft to polish it.
You got to baby it a little more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like those old. Remember the those like special edition Koishis?
Yeah.
They had a lacquered handle on them, and I've seen a few in the past couple of years that people bought way back then. And they've kind of smacked them around a little bit, got little chips on them.
Yeah.
Not the easiest thing to fix.
Yeah.
But you know. Oh, Mihai has a question. They always wait until I go to say until I say goodbye. Where are the Japanese knives? Nothing available or in stock anymore. Help. Your best bet, Mihai. Are you looking for something in particular? I'll help you right now.
Yeah.
I really don't have much better to do, but if you need a hand, I'll help you. Are you looking for a knife in particular? Because this whole pandemic thing has had knock-on effects with all kinds of people and businesses, right? So, Kurosaki. Okay, so Kurosaki-san, there's one dude in a small workshop making knives. So he makes a bunch and then sells a bunch. If you're looking for a particular shape, it might be something. So if you're new, I don't know if you're kind of new to us at Knifewear, but we just had our garage sale. And so what happens with garage sales, we get in a bunch of stuff that we don't normally carry because they aren't made in very large supply. And there would have been a fair bit of Kurosaki's knives on included in the garage sale.
Yeah.
Especially when we're looking at those handles and all that jazz. I
think we have a handful of his knives left over from the garage sale. We probably have a few here and there.
Yeah. Yeah, if you were looking for something in particular, you can send an email to hello@knifewear.com. And that'll put, like, that's an email to the help desk. So any staff member could be helping you. It's not necessarily going to be, it'll be Nathan more likely than it would be me, to be honest. But then we can take a look through the stock and find something in particular. We do get knives from Kurosaki-san on a regular basis through some of his other lines that he makes. But, depending on what you're looking for in particular, it might.
And he's pretty popular too, so his stuff tends to go quickly. If there's one you really want, you can always sign up for the back in stock notifications when we get it in. They do tend to go pretty fast when we do get them.
Yeah, like 240 ellipsis. The new Fujimotos are not clad in stainless ellipsis. They are just straight up carbon steel. And some of the bigger, like I know there's a lot of like 240s from Kurosaki-san right now. There's some really fancy stuff actually, like the the Senko, the R2 Senkos with the wah handle. Seems that we've got those in a variety of handles.
Yeah.
We've got the Senko with the Western, like a Kiritsuke tip.
Yep.
240 with the crazy acrylic handles.
Oh, yeah, those are nice.
The Masakage Shimo is a white carbon steel knife made by Kurosaki-san.
Mm-hmm.
There's some cool Yanagibas, Sujis. Yeah. The 240 Sasame, that's a great knife. My father-in-law has one of those.
Nice.
Santokus. Yeah, so there is stuff. But it's just I think actually ellipsis, I think the Sasames just came in. But yeah, if you're looking, it's hello@knifewear.com.
Yep.
And if you just say, this is what I'm looking for, whomever answers is they're probably going to say, hey, we don't have that thing. Here are some similar suggestions, or we could look into putting you on like a waiting list for when we do get one of those things.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of things, knives are one of them. There's been a lot more interest in things to do at home over the last year, and knives. Ellipsis, I think Sasames, I think we just kind of got like a restock on some Sasames. And you are correct. Those Fujimotos are going to be clad in a softer iron. And then Carmike 95, big difference between a Petty and a Hanasuki. Could they both be used around bones and small jobs? Yes, they can. I like to use a 150. I like to use a 150 Petty for trimming up large cuts of beef. If I'm removing silver skin and fat, those kinds of things, I like a 150 Petty. A Hanasuki is going to be much thicker on the spine and is going to be more durable when it comes to like working in and around the joints. I will use my Hanasuki to split a chicken breast through the breastbone. I would not use a Petty to do that. And even with the Hanasuki, I'm careful and I'm well aware that one day I will chip my knife. Just to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you still need Japanese steel. You still need to be careful with it, right?
Yeah, but it is just the geometry of the knife generally makes them a little more durable. We got if I was going to recommend a Hanasuki to you, I know Masashi-san has got some incredible ones. I'm really impressed with what he's just produced. And then the kind of the fan favorite is the Moritaka Ishime. Yeah. It is carbon steel, might require a little more care than what you're used to. I'm not sure what you've got, but the Moritaka Hanasuki is kind of the benchmark for us.
I'm really impressed with the Fujimoto as well. I don't know if we have them in stock, but the Hammer Tone and even the Nishija are both really nice Hanasukis. I've used
a little bit thinner, those ones.
Yeah, you want to be a little
bit thinner. So if you're going to, and a Hanasuki makes a great just because knife. Like if you think you got all the knives, and you don't, like a Hanasuki is a great like. Oh, I could use that. I have a Koishi Hanasuki, but I'll probably buy a Moritaka one now that we got more in. Yeah,
I've been wanting the Moritaka for years, and I need it for sure. Either that or a Masashi.
Yeah. Ellipsis, the I would say the Masashi. Like I would almost. I don't want to go like unveiling people's secrets or taking huge guesses, but I have a feeling that Masashi looked at a Moritaka Hanasuki when he made his. They're in completely different parts of Japan, and I could be way offside. But all the things I like about the Moritaka ones, I also like about the Masashi ones. So
I think maybe Naoto just told him what makes a good Hanasuki because he didn't make one before. We it's a special kind of request for us. And I think Naoto probably just said, "Hey, can you make this exact thing?" And he probably described a Moritaka Hanasuki pretty down to a T. Oh, hey, it's Craig's Kitchen Rocks. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
Yeah, Craig comes a bunch of... I have a feeling that I have met Craig before.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm certain of it.
I believe he lives in Halifax.
Is Craig Craig, what's your last name? If you don't mind. If you do mind, I'm sorry. But if you don't mind...
Yeah, that Koi Hanasuki is really nice as well. It's a really good price if you want to keep it affordable. It's durable steel. It's really, really nice geometry. I'm a fan of that one.
Now I'm just like waiting on this mystery. I'm certain.
Well, thanks everyone that tuned in today. It was nice getting to do one of these.
Yeah, it's a nice change of pace for me too. It was nice having Craig Dory. Okay. I thought you were a different Craig.
Well, there you go.
Well, it's nice to meet you now, Craig.
Yeah.
So, well, yeah, maybe let's turn this off before we're out of control. You know what? I'm going to still say that Craig's last name is Kitchen Rocks. So,
yeah. Middle name Kitchen. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
We'll stick
so
with
if you need anything, you know what? Well, here, if you could do us a favor and like the video, subscribe to the channel, that would be wonderful, and I would greatly appreciate it. I won't tell you to dislike and unsubscribe. Apparently, people started disliking the videos, and then I got in trouble, so I'm going to stop doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I get in a fair bit of trouble, to be honest, folks. But if you need anything, hello@knifewear.com is a great place to start. Mm-hmm. If you've got suggestions or something like you want to see something in particular, you got a good idea, or you've done the chopstick challenge, or you got pictures of your knives and you want to show them off, send them over to tv@knifewear.com. Chris Armitage keeps an eye on that. He puts together the list of things for me to talk about. So
if we get enough of those video submissions, we'll start a fan leaderboard of Chopstick Challenge.
Yeah.
Because right now there's only one person on it, James Dean, and he puts all three of the other contestants to shame. So
yeah, and he does it while telling a story.
Yeah.
And in his timing, he doesn't even throw a fuss or nothing. Like I think I did it in like 1 minute and 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Plus a couple milliseconds.
Yeah.
I think that was my time. James did it in like 1:04, and he fumbled turning it off. So he was even faster than that.
Oh my God.
But obviously Kevin found a million things wrong with what he was doing. So
naturally,
that's just, how he rolls, I suppose.
Yeah.
So
if you guys, like this video more, we'll kick count off. We got really good viewership today. Maybe it's a sign.
Uh-oh. Yeah, well, we only told that Switzerland joke once, and that was because I was afraid of repercussions if I didn't say it at all.
I think we lose 5 people every time we tell that joke.
Yeah. So, what are we supposed to do?
Guys. That was a lot of fun. It was nice chatting with everyone, as always. It's fun.
Yeah.
Change of pace for me. I like getting to talk about food. I know Chris and I are both passionate about cooking and have lots of good knowledge to share, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, like I said, anytime you folks need me, I'm not. You know what? Here, Ellipsis. This is for you, and then I'm gonna turn it off.
Good Lord.
I know he's got. I'm just gonna find. Here it is. We don't have to say it out loud. It's in the chat, or there it is. It's up on the screen. We don't have to talk about it too much.
I'm just covering the bottom of my screen, so I don't have to read it.
Yeah, I don't want to look at it either. There we go. So there we go. We did it. There, the joke made it up twice. Not gonna get fired. So
thanks, everybody.
All right. Well, have a good one, everybody.
Take her easy.